Hello YouTubers, this is the Noobifier. I was invited to the Captain's Table, which is a weekly podcast about Star Citizen hosted by the Astropub. I'm putting it up here in case you missed it, and I would ask you to follow Paul on Twitch and tune in when you can. Fair warning, the stream does contain some minor swearing. If you're okay with that, I hope you enjoy.
Is it working? Hello? 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 Can you hear me? You guys are just fucking with me, aren't you? It's just straight up. Hello and welcome to the Astropub, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul, Berserker01, Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the Astropub. Hopefully you guys are hearing me on Twitch. Okay, good. I just want to make sure you guys could hear me because XSplit is being very weird right now. Noob, stop with the act, please.
No, I'm actually trying to hold this in because it came out. So, you know. It's all good.
No, thank you, Zoom, for giving me unlimited minutes suddenly. All right, and I forgot to get my beer. But we'll get this started and get this introduction, and then I'll run down and get the beer while you guys all chat for a bit. We'll start off with, for those of you who have never been here before, my name is Paul. This is the Astropub. We do the Captain's Table every week. I try to get a different crew together every week. I'm going to try to put some new folks in here shortly. People like Snake Eater. I'm going to ask him if you're watching the Snake Eater, please come join us. And if you're a Star Citizen content creator, YouTuber, Twitch streamer, whatever, feel free, come on by, talk with us. We'd love to have you here just because I'm always desperate for people to come on at the last minute. It's usually like trying to fill seats, especially during like lulls, like right before CitizenCon becomes a problem because everyone's like, nah, I don't have that much to talk about. Well, they've got other things they got to do. Quick, what's the ratio for Myerson? I have leftover Testahol. Don't remember, dude. I was drunk. I think it's a third Testahol, a third Rockstar, sugar-free Rockstar, and a third cranberry juice. You can't go wrong with that. Anyways, so for those of you guys who are wondering what we do, we talk about Star Citizen. I bring people from all over the universe, and then together we answer questions at the end. So I try to keep it as brief as possible because I know people have time commitments and such like that. So we don't have streams like last time where it ended up being almost 4 fucking hours long, and I'm trying to reduce that as well. But to begin with, let's start off with clockwise. We'll start off over here with Noobifier. Noobifier, who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen?
Okay, first of all, resub. So that's important.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm the Noobifier. I am a Star Citizen content creator. I've been boring you for almost 3 years now. You can find me on, obviously, YouTube, on Twitch, Twitter, all the things. Instagram, not so much. Basically, there's been a bit of a lull in the content lately because I was doing a big renovation. It's almost done, literally down to making the molding pretty. It's a better creative space so I can work in peace and make better content. That's really the whole point of it. So there's like unboxing table, reception desk, green room, coffee bar, and a comforts table. So all that is just to be more productive. It's a write-off for the company, which is really good. And if you're at all interested in seeing any of the previous stuff, I don't really make videos about that stuff. That stuff goes to Twitter so that you can keep up if that's interesting to you. So like Twitter and Facebook.
So follow them on Twitter.
Yeah, or just watch occasionally. You can go dumpster diving and look at my history. But
it's really cool. Like you've done a lot of work with it. It's really fantastic.
It's insane. It was like I don't sleep. Yeah, this is the problem.
You're a YouTuber, of course you don't sleep.
When I say sorry to the community because I know I've been like slacking off because you come home from work and you're like, I could make a video or I could install some tile, right? It's really like the motivation's not there. There were lots of things that I could have spoken about, but other YouTubers and content creators were tearing the ass out of it. So as much as the traction is very bad around this time of year, naturally, just before SitCon. It doesn't matter if you make 2 videos or 200. It sucks. It's just not there. A lot of people are playing other games and that stuff. It's good and it's healthy, right? Get yourself ready to go for SitCon. So nice transition. Working on a new video series called Gear Shorts. That's going to be gear, software, and tech that I use for content creation, and that has to go with the studio. So all the like little tips and tricks that I learned along the way, which should be fun. Again, I'm trying to diversify. It's not like me stopping Star Citizen content. It's me adding more other stuff. And I'm expecting many people, not many, a couple people, you know who you are in chat. Those people are going to get super pissed off. I've already had comments like Noobifier, know your role, like stay in your lanes, and I'm like, you guys aren't even subscribed. Block.
Yeah,
you don't have to worry about me anymore.
I saw some ridiculous posts on your comments like Noobifier, you post on like a Star Citizen thing, and someone's like your summary videos are pointless or something like that, and it's like,
yeah, it's okay.
Don't watch them.
But this is the beautiful thing. And the first tip, a little bit of a preview. The first tip, if you're a content creator or you want to be one, and you focus on that person instead of the thousands of other people that just love it, then you're doing it wrong.
Exactly.
Right? So
Absolutely.
it's good. I feel very supported, and those onesies and twosies, irrelevant. Quite frankly, not a big deal. So like I said, new types of videos. I'm reaching out to some companies to see if they want to work and collaborate. Maybe a tech company sends me a new piece of tech to review, and then I send it back. Just a constant stream of new, fresh stuff. So with the studio done now, the plan is CitizenCon, obviously, and I'm sorry I'm going really long here, but this week, I have 2 weeks off. I'm going to go to Halifax to participate in a friend's wedding with my wife. I have a full remote kit, obviously, like nicking out, right? You're going to be away from home, and all the cool stuff's going to be coming out, the ATVs, RTVs. So I'll be able to work at night from the hotels, and I have like a portable. So as long as I have Wi-Fi, you're still going to see stuff. Then I get home, boom. That's when Star Citizen is going to be in full gear, hype machine 1,000%, and I'm planning on tearing out maybe 1 or 2 videos depending on how much stuff comes out a day. My plan is to boost the channel up, right? Like it's the same for all of us. We all are waiting for that big patch to drop and the game to become relevant and us to get sucked up in that vacuum. Mm-hmm. So it's good, and it's motivation, it's drive. And we need it. I'm addicted to making content. It doesn't even pay very well, but it's good.
Yeah.
So
I actually was looking at my YouTube revenue, and because I now have YouTube revenue, but I can't get access to it because they closed my AdSense account. And I have no way of reopening it. So I don't really care. I don't really need the money. But I was looking at it, and I'm going,
couple pennies.
I've made from all of my videos over the last 6 months or 9 months, almost 10 months of me making videos this year, I've made more money on YouTube than I've ever made, and I've made $60. 60 on YouTube. I make more money a month on Twitch than I do in a year on YouTube.
You can't see that, but it's like $200
for like this month. Yeah.
Yeah, so the whole month.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of money for it, and as always, when I teach and my kids find out that I tell them that I do content and that kind of stuff, and they ask like how much money you make, I'm like, enough to justify a little bit of the cost of
coffee. You can buy coffee.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a little bit better than that. I'm able to buy the equipment with stuff or offset the cost of equipment with it, but I usually put more money in than I actually get out of it.
Right, and I don't want to. I'm not complaining. I don't want people to think that I'm complaining at all, because the reality is, if I really wanted to make money, I could make 10-minute videos. But I would choose to make the videos that I'm making now and not make any money, the way that the content is supposed to come out, like no bullshit. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, and I have very good patrons and stuff like that that look after all the nits and the little bips and bobs. So come back from Halifax. Sorry, just to get back on track. Come back from Halifax videos for CitizenCon covering. I'm not going, but that gives me a chance to be one of the few that can really cover it. Redacted's having a watch stream. That's
I was going to say, are we still doing the MS33K thing? Yeah.
So Detox, Twerk, myself, and I think Super Mac Brothers.
SMP, yeah.
Very cool.
Okay. And then I do have a contest that's running right now. It ends tomorrow, so it's a medevac and triage. I may ask you if I can spam that in the thing for people to watch.
I think you're a mod, okay. So you can just spam away.
And then that's about me. That's me for the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks since I've been on.
Nice.
thank you very much for having me. By the way, this is always fun.
I'm just glad you're okay because of the after the tornado hit.
That was interesting.
that was
I was supposed to be on last week, right? And
Yeah.
Friday, like after RTV came out, I did a video, and then boom, the lights went out, almost like they were waiting
for it to finish.
Right? But we went out for Fatter Day. Yeah, Friday, Fat Friday. Go out to A&W or whatever and just, pig out. And while we were there, power went out, had the burger, didn't matter, lights are out, just eat in the dark. And then realized, I thought it was going to be a little power failure. Boom, all the UPSs in the house ended up being dead by the time I got home, so we couldn't even capitalize on that. Then it was like a couple days without power. Again, I'm not complaining. This is like first world problems. I'm not being chased by guys with machetes or something, like actual problems, You
don't have power going out every 5 minutes or something like that,
No, and it's not winter. Like we opened the windows and had a fire outside. It was actually really pleasant. I don't want power to go out, but I'm reminded that we're good without internet, right? Like it's fine. But again, sorry, I'm looking at the time. It's already been 12 minutes. But
it's cool. Most of that was other talking. It's good to keep up with you. I will say, feel free to post that link in chat as well. And if you guys haven't already followed him, you should. He does really good content. In general.
By the way, speaking of which, Noobifier, I really enjoyed today's content drop on the monster tech.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
That's a backlog because of the studio. Remember I said I have a choice. I can come home and do something studio related or whatever. So I had to tell Olsen a bunch of times. He sent me a whack of stuff like the corner mounts, the Warbird mounts, and the seat mounts. So there's 2 more videos that I owe him. This is it's not like that, but in my brain that's how I'm indebted to him for 2 more videos. And rather than doing them all at once, that's like a waste that like blows the load, and then there's no continuity in his progression. In a week he'll get another video, and the week after that another video, and he is working on a massive thing. He's like totally revamping his sim pit arrangement with the chair and all that stuff. It's going to be kick-ass, and I hope to get a set of it so that I can, show you guys that.
Sweet.
Right on. Looking forward to it.
Next, we've got the ever-venerable and always very patient Sheep Citizen. If you guys don't know Sheep Citizen, she's a new content creator for Star Citizen, but she's already better than all of us. She's just the best content creator in the history of content creation. Like she's on her way top of the YouTube charts. She already set streams to like 4,000 people on average.
Yeah, 3 PewDiePies.
We just wish we're as good as Sheep Citizen. So make sure you give Sheep Citizen a follow. I still got to set that up. Sheep Citizen. But Sheep Citizen, who are you? Where do we find you? Huh?
No introduction required.
Yeah, stoic. Absolutely stoic. Perfect. Next, we have, I don't want to follow the person who shouldn't be following Sheep Citizen. I'm sorry, Shiver. I'm going to make you follow Sheep Citizen, but
can't compete with that.
No.
Whatever
Shiver,
I say, it's going to be bad.
I'm trying to make a joke about RAM, but I don't know if that works on multiple levels. Shiver, who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen?
I do stuff over on Relay. I'm in charge of the news department, making sure that Eris breathes and remembers that he uses internet and has to do stuff. I also do a couple of shows over on the base.sc, alternative extreme metal show, and a chat show that's with very heavy emphasis on penis jokes.
Is that the name of the show? Very heavy emphasis on penis jokes?
It should be. That's going to be the working subtitle from now on.
I was actually thinking, like, going forward, if there's able to get some sort of API to be able to watch or listen to something outside of the game while you're inside the game, like, having an API where you can bring in like Spotify or something else, but also bring in like the base radio. I think that would be a very interesting addition.
That'd be cool.
Because there's a lot of people out there that try to do what base radio does, and they don't for other games, and they don't do it very well. Like the base radio is the best radio station for a video game that I've ever seen. You guys have gotten to the point where you could it could almost be an inverse game video. If we just changed a couple of things around and like how you guys act, and you could be inverse. It could be like a GTA style parody, radio show in the verse.
That's pretty much the aim. And if any orgs out there listening, watching, want to send us in an advert, I know that Base do want more org adverts.
I do gotta get my advert for the base. They asked me a while ago for one, and I thought of putting one together, but I just never got around to it. So it's a pretty good place for it. Thank you, Moist, for gifting that sub to Moist. Thank you, Noobifier, for gifting that sub to Moist. Thank you. Reverse.
Good people. Good people.
Good people. Big fan of Sheep Citizen. I know. Also, congratulations, Shiver, on the future. Again, I don't know if you want to make that entirely public, if you made that entirely public, but you know.
No, nobody cares. But getting married later on this year.
So, congratulations on that one. Welcome to the club. Enjoy the pain that is marriage, and I don't mean in marriage. I just mean it's just. The whole part of getting married sucks. Like, it's the worst part of marriage is having to go through that ceremony. I don't know why.
Yeah.
All right. So next we are going to introduce our new celebrity who just popped up. And since you've been off the grid for so long in terms of Star Citizen, and now you're every single podcast. I think you're on. I was on Relay Station, and then you've been on the Asylum podcast, or not the Asylum,
no, not yet.
Not yet. Get on it.
Yeah, just you and Relay a lot recently.
So
that's two.
That's two. That's true. But
two of the five.
Five of the larger ones. There's more than that, but they come and go.
But I don't speak French or German, so I don't know if I count for those.
That's true. That would be an interesting one. They've asked me to come on one at one point, but I don't speak French, so I don't know if I can or not.
This guy's from Quebec.
I told them about you, Noobifier. I told you you'd be cool with going onto the French podcast. I don't think they've gotten back to you about that though.
Ben oui.
Yeah. So with that, if you guys please go ahead and follow every one of those folks here. There's their contact lists, and let's get down to the meat and potatoes. Before we do, Noobifier did say something that was interesting, is that one of the things that I'm going to be doing here shortly is also diversifying. I've been diversifying with the Captain's Table, with Galactic Historian, and I'm back to doing that more. But on top of that, I am a historian by trade. It's my job. And one of the things that I'm really excited about is the Assassin's Creed games that comes out, because they usually have a really good context for history. Wrapped up in a lot of other bullshit, but it's usually the historical context is pretty good, and you get to play time periods you don't necessarily get to play a lot. And Assassin's Creed Odyssey is coming out next week, and I realized that a lot of people may not realize what time period it takes place in, or how much of an impact it has had on history. There's a lot of stuff that led up to it, and there's a lot of stuff that came after it as a result of it. So I wanted to do a quick primer for people who understand, so they can understand the context of what they're playing in. And so with my wife, who is a classical languages major and still speaks ancient Greek, I worked with her, and we did a video. So I recorded that yesterday in terms of the audio, and so I got to put that video together. But that's going to be out here shortly as well, trying to diversify my content. So with that being said, let's go back to Nighthawk. Nighthawk, you have 3 questions. What did you like? What did you dislike? And what surprised you about this week?
Starting with the surprise, I'm actually surprised that they sold enough tickets to only have something like 50 left.
It sold out, by the way.
Yeah, there was a lot of drama over whether or not people were going to be buying tickets. So I'm very surprised, but in a good way, that they were able to sell off all these tickets. I think it's going to be really interesting for them to run a show as large as this is meant to be, because it's the biggest they've ever done, right? So if it doesn't go well, I'm interested to see how they pull back, if they pull back for next year.
It'll go well.
Yeah, I mean, I have full confidence in it, but it's going to be really interesting to see how they work the whole thing and what comes of it.
I mean, I think next year, it bodes well for next year, because the only reason why they did it when they did this year is because it was the time they could get, considering the venue and the location, or considering the location. Next year, they're going probably back to Manchester. And if they're going back to Manchester next year, I don't think there's a giant music festival on the October 10th in England. Those of you who live around Manchester may be able to tell me this or not, but it seems like it's much more in the clear. So finding a larger venue that you can pay for and putting it on a weekend where people can attend would be a big
Montreal.
one.
Just do it in Montreal.
But last time it was in Manchester, they had a really big football match as well, and we had to play sardines on public trains with football fans.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Was it like, is it like the Champions? I
don't follow the sporting ball, I'm afraid.
You don't follow the sports ball?
Just do it in Montreal. Seriously, there's nothing going on in Montreal ever.
Just do it there.
70 cents to the dollar for Americans. Come on down, and you can smoke out your brains when you're here.
Done.
Yeah, that sounds like a
we'll
good
be
plan.
there next year.
Yeah. Montreal would be a good place for a fan convention.
I actually kind of agree. You know, I understand that there's an expenditure that comes with doing it in a location that doesn't have one of the offices, but it would just be nice, CitizenCon being a celebration of the citizens and for the citizens.
Turbulent is kind of there, right?
That's true. That's true. And that,
almost like I thought
that
of this.
could make for a really fun and interesting show because they could bring more to the table that they haven't done before. I would really like to see them do it in places where they don't have an office so that other citizens who aren't in the immediate area or can't afford to get to those areas have an opportunity to try and go somewhere that's easier for them.
It's also really good for those citizens who live in the northern United States, like in Chicago and those regions.
That's true.
And Montreal kicks ass. Like really, it is a
modern city.
Class city.
Yeah, it's a huge city, big city. Montreal's the one that has the tower, right? Like the giant.
No, Toronto.
Is that Toronto? Okay.
Yeah, but they're everything in Canada. Like 95% of the population lives 100 miles from the border. Mm-hmm. So like the American border. So it's really it's not a big deal. We're very friendly people, and we're more similar to you than you think.
Okay. Yeah. Sweet. All right. So that's what you like, and what did you dislike, and what surprised?
That was my surprise.
Oh,
that was my
surprise.
surprise.
Okay.
Well, actually, you know what I did like is also kind of what I didn't like, and if I can just take a second and go into it, what I find really interesting about this week is that.
There's always one guy every show.
It's got to do it.
And that really keeps me very excited for what's yet to come.
I completely agree, especially the NDA part. That NDA part was very important. It's very important.
Yes.
Yeah. Was there anything else that you disliked this week?
I'm trying to go back through the week and see all the stuff that they dropped. I know Jump Point came out, and there were a couple of really nice articles in there. Covered the Mercury Star Runner, and there was a really interesting bit about OCS in the Jump Point with some graphics that kind of help to wrap your brain around how that system is supposed to work. The shows were pretty good. I can't think of anything that I disliked this week. Yeah. All around, I thought it was a good week.
Awesome. Shiver, how about you? What did you like? What did you dislike? And what surprised you about this week?
I think I was surprised by how luxurious the Phoenix actually is. Not just me, but I think there's at least a few others that were, think the Phoenix looks more luxurious than the 600i in many aspects.
It looks like a flying delicatessen, like a flying restaurant, like a flying fancy and high end restaurant,
or
with fish tanks in every room.
Yeah,
or some bar, in musty old Vegas where you'd see Frank Sinatra singing a tune. Yeah, while someone plays the keys.
It's the kind of place where you notice you wouldn't really notice it, and you knock on the door and you walk in, and the handrails or the guardrails are all like golden, and there's a diamond chandelier above everyone. It's one of those places that's doesn't look very assuming, it looks very unassuming outside. When you come inside, it's just gaudy and extravagant, and
it's the new Star Citizen speakeasy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what the Phoenix is. The Phoenix doesn't really look like a gaudy, extravagant ship, but in the inside looks ridiculous. So
it just looks like a pregnant Connie from the outside.
Yeah. So that's what you liked?
I was surprised.
Surprised.
liked it's a strange thing to like, but when they were doing reverse and explaining about the Phoenix, and they said, when it gets to the rover bay, we've looked at the way it does with the current constellation, not Aquila, Andromeda, thank you, and how there's not very easy access to the rover or the cargo bay underneath, whereas this one, they've actually looked at that, made the rover bay wider so you can walk around the damn thing and go straight in and out from the crew quarters. And it's that sort of thinking that I'm really liking, that thinking and that learning, and it shows a lot of promise for future ships.
I think the cost...
Reworks.
That's true. And honestly, I think the cost of losing those 16 SCU is well worth it, because it separates decks. And with something like the Phoenix, where it's supposed to be for moving VIP passengers, like, you really don't want them having to go into the grungier parts of the ship unless they absolutely have to. So it's a really well thought out. Yeah.
I was going to say the other thing it goes for is that only minorly changing things on the exterior that you can swap from ship to ship, like that. Like that's a small change that they could also port over to the other ships. That would increase the usability of the ship without having to do a complete overhaul of the entire ship, which is nice about doing these ships in pieces rather than all at once. Because when you do them all at once, then you have to go back and redo them all again over to make sure they have the same technology running through them, like the Cutlass does, and the Mustang specifically. They had to completely redo the Mustang from the ground up to make sure it worked properly. So. What else?
Dislike. Yeah, no, it's very important dislike, because we've got this state now with OCS, where you've got the Evocati split, you've got some people leaking some things over to the Reddit, problems with physics boxes, but the most pressing issue is there was no Melissa Estrada again this week.
As always, it's important that if Melissa Estrada is not there, it's the most important problem that CIG is facing, 100%.
Yeah,
please fix.
All right. Now we have Sheep Citizen. Sheep Citizen, why don't you tell us what you like, dislike, and surprised? The wisdom is undeniable. I don't know. Like I can't disagree.
I don't even know why I'm here.
Yeah, she just replaces all of us, like, of all of our opinions. Isn't that right? My cat's being a meowy little guy back there. All right, so Noob, it's up to you. What did you like, what did you dislike, and what surprised you about this week?
So the RSI is now a contender in the luxury market. That's a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
Those fake seats were the nicest looking seats I've ever seen in my life. The comforts table, everything, I know they added a little bit more width. So, spoiler, the Phoenix is what we're talking about, in case you didn't get that.
Yeah.
The no cooking people in the hot tub comment, I liked that very much. That was a surprise. Very shocking.
You can't boil people alive
cut them with the doors, like that. There's a safety mechanism there. I liked that they kept the entire front end of that thing stock, but brought all the textures up to make it look fancy, because that makes sense. The luxury part isn't the front; it's the party zone in the back. I liked that Red Alert looked like a party. Everyone start dancing, we're going down, Captain. Fuck it. Dance. And Mark,
they've only got escape pods for the crew, not for the passengers.
Exactly. You might as well just die happy, right?
Just drink your way through it. It's
Get
all
in the
good.
Ursa rover, drop the bay, and leave. Atmo or not. But no, the little. So I think his name is Josh, right? The guy who was being interviewed. He also did the Cutlass. You could tell. All of his ships seem to be really, really head and shoulders above, right? Like they're really, you could see the detail, and you could tell he loves his job. I'm not saying that other devs don't love their job. I'm sorry. I don't mean to imply that, but he seems to really love it. And he likes the toys and like adding that little bit of detail. So
we're talking about the Mark, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Mark 1 model in the fish tank.
Oh, that was great.
Gorgeous, right? Great. Like stupid stuff like that I really like, because again, it makes me a believer that the person who's doing it likes it as much as I do, is having as much fun building it as I'm going to enjoy using it.
Oh,
so
Josh is, from the little I've met him and talked with him, he is incredibly down with making ships for a living. Like,
Oh man.
yeah,
Like I said,
loves
you
it.
could-
I mean, it shows.
Yeah.
And again, no disrespect to anyone else at CIG, but I'm just singling you out for good job. That's that. What I saw on Friday, super good. That's a nice segue. Jared, that's the way to do a Q&A. That's a Q&A for a ship. I understand that this ship is almost done and something like the Hammerhead may not be there, but anytime you, let's say you launch a ship or you're going to talk about a ship on an ATV, you decide to have an RTV where you're going to boost the ship and talk about it, get the developer with whatever state of white box, gray box, no textures, it doesn't matter, just to see it, contextualize it so that we understand kind of more about it. Because I learned more in 30 minutes of that 1 hour show than I ever knew about the Phoenix. And again, I know that it's just coming out, so we know the most about it. But being able to see it, RSI Phoenix, it never really struck me as being something that was going to be a viable luxury ship because it's so teeny. You walk around the Andromeda, you're like, this is dumpy. It's very functional, and it's the work, the layout doesn't make any sense. Like there's almost no crew space, et cetera, Then bam, makes sense. That ship makes sense. So that's what I liked. One other thing I liked that the tickets sold out. Congrats, CIG.
I was surprised that they just said, "Hey, we got 50 left," and then I was going to think today. I was literally coming in today, looking up there. I'm like, I bet you they're still out there, and they were sold
opening
out.
it up for kids, friends. All that stuff was necessary. That's where the extra ticket sales happened, because I don't think if they hadn't done that, I think they would still be sitting on tickets. And it's supposed to be a fun event, right? Like, yes, at 2016, I think I was there. There was drinking and stuff like that. That's great. But having more people share with you is better. Nothing on the panel was over 18. It was just the fact that there was an open bar.
Yeah.
So dump the bar, bring people in. I don't want to see people
have a
gooned
bar
there
in the
anyways.
lounge like I think they're doing this year. Is that like the VIP lounge that they
Right.
have for the.
So this is a good way forward. I mean, I know it's not a game for young people yet, but they'll be eventually. By the time it releases, maybe they will be able to play. Sorry.
God damn.
Shameless, right?
I love that burn.
Damn it, Noobifier.
So
I didn't dislike anything this week. Again, just on cruise control, waiting for 3.3 to drop, waiting for all this. The leaks are interesting. They're very interesting and informative, and we can talk about that later if you wanted to do a salty bit. Whatever, right?
I can't say anything because I'm under NDA.
You can speak about what you think about the leaks, not the content.
I'd rather not comment on the leaks,
Okay.
because I will say this: the leaks that have been coming out, people have to understand that where they're getting them from is they're getting them from the Evocati reporting location. They're just pulling it from the reports rather than doing it themselves and intentionally leaking. So that they're not exposing themselves; they're exposing people who are actually testing and
it could also not be
videos.
correct. It could be a fake leak.
Yeah,
Like
so,
that's one thing that I always try to caveat with this. If I do report on it, this is hearsay from Reddit. Reddit is about reliable as Wiki.
There's no filter on Reddit. It's completely
Right.
filtered by people's opinions. So,
But it's all additive and it's all fun. I've been having a good week. Mic drop.
yeah. But I was going to say that it's important to note that a lot of those are bug reports. So when people are looking at that like 3.3 and they're going like it's buggy and terrible, it's like that's because you're looking at nothing but bug reports. If you look at nothing but like fail reels of hockey, those blooper reels in hockey, you'll think that hockey is nothing but a bunch of like amateur idiots who just beat each other up and slam into walls all the time. So it's hard to judge anything when you just look at the worst parts of it. But no, so that's we got through it in less than an hour, which is awesome. So now we can get to the questions. So if you guys have any questions about for the cast, from me specifically, for any individual cast members, you can ask them. I can't guarantee they'll always be answered because there are some caveats. One, none of us are CIG employees.
Well, the sheep is.
The sheep is, but we don't talk about sheep.
Obviously.
That's why she has all that information, so much insider information. But Jesus. But the caveat is, even though none of us, not all of us, are CIG employees, we have no problems giving absolutely official answers. And the only thing I ask you to do is, if we give official answer and you can say confirmed and go to the forums, just please tag Discolando, please tag Xylo, and Ulf and other Tyler Nolan. Just make sure you tag all of them. Make sure you 100% tell them that you heard it on the captain's table from official sources. Because if I'm still waiting to hear a panicked message or an angry message from Tyler being like, what the hell are you doing on the table? Just to make their jobs harder. That's my job. My job is to make their jobs harder. So.
And remember, my name is spelled ATHAGEN.
And my name is spelled RICHARD. That's how you spell Paul Shelley, is RICHARD. So, with that being said, let's get to... there's other things. There are such things as stupid questions. Don't ask them. There are such things as asking statements. You can't ask a statement, but people make them. Don't do that. That's bad. And lastly... and lastly, there are some statements and questions that are so bad that I can't read them on air because they break Twitch TOS. So just be smart when you're asking stuff. So we've got
those the ones from Fastcart.
Sometimes they are.
He's so cheeky.
Yeah. It's worse when you have Fastcart and CDizzle on the same show and Fastcart's asking questions, because that's when shit just goes sideways real quick. I'm sorry, shit goes 3/5 of the ways sideways in traditional Fastcart connotation. Mayonnaise, who usually asks a bunch of questions, told us yesterday that he was not going to be here. So he asked a bunch of questions yesterday. And I have them on there. So of the 3 questions Mayonnaise asked, well, number 1 is, do you think OCS will be out for Eva Cotty by the end of the year?
I think it's out now. That's what I read.
I can't say anything.
You can't say I think it's out. Done. That's what I read.
But I have confidence that OCS, considering how far along they are, the idea of it getting out by the end of the year is a non-brainer, I think. A no-brainer. The idea of it coming out timely, I couldn't tell you. I don't know if it's coming out in 3.3. I don't know if it's coming out in 3.3.5 like they planned. It could push it all the way to 3.4. And that's been my worry and my main focus for a long time, is I think that a lot of stuff that's going to be for this 3.3.5 patch will end up probably in 3.4 rather than 3.3.5, because it's going to add a lot of work on the front end of things that they could just push to 3.4 and not have to worry about it. But it depends on how far along they are. Next question from Manny015, who asks, do you think a ship in poor repair will have higher docking fee than one that is well kept? I think it's going to be standard.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they're going to have the state of your ship's health be a factor in the cost of...
If it's a Reaver ship.
I think...
Maybe then. Yes.
I do think that reputation may play a role, though. You may have to pay a higher fee if you have a lower reputation with the group. Like a station owned by a corporation that you've been actively dicking over and they know it's you, even though you may not be illegal, you haven't been doing anything that's illegal, they may still say, yeah, you can come onto the station because your money spends, but you're going to pay twice as much as your average person. That may be the closest we'll get to it.
I can understand it making your stay at the station a little more expensive, because they did say recently that Cryastro is no longer going to be in the game, and you're going to be doing your repair and refuels at these truck stops.
I wonder why they might have taken out a reference to a company that they used to work with. I wonder why that would be the case.
They worked with the dog from the Jetsons?
Yes, they did.
But that could definitely run up your costs if you have a ship with lower health and you're coming into the station. You're going to pay the same docking fees, but then you're going to have to pay repair costs.
Mandatory repair costs.
Mandatory repair
Not
costs?
necessarily mandatory. It's up to you whether or not you want to repair your ship, but do you really want to dive into the black with...
Drive around in a dumpster fire? No problem. That's not my problem.
Yeah. Well, it could also be a situation where, I could see that at least in lore and in gameplay working, the sense that say because in reality, if you have like my apartment, if you have a busted out tire and you leave it just chilling in the parking lot for like a month, they're going to tow it because it's a broken down vehicle that's a eyesore, and it also can be leaking things and other issues like that. So
that would be interesting. They reclaim your ship if you don't.
So it could be a situation where you go in some places you have to fix it at the location because they're like legally you have to fix it, which would be an interesting kind of way of like those old school con jobs, like where they would your car would break down and then you'd stop at this like small gas station and they'd repair it,
Stuck there for a week.
But they just tweak a little thing so you get started and you start driving away, then suddenly poof, it just stops again.
You've watched too many movies,
no.
Paul.
Hey, I've experienced con jobs before, so I know that it's not impossible to do something like that. And at the same time, it could be an interesting little thing. I don't think it would be a huge thing, though. I don't think it'd be a major
Yeah, I mean, it very
priority.
well could be. For all you know, that happens, and you have to double back to the truck stop. And the week that you're stuck at the truck stop while they're waiting for your component to arrive, you're dealing with fish people coming out at night. You're hearing voices in your head, and who knows what elder gods might be.
That's going to be a DLC
for
sure. That's a DLC.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That would be a fantastic little side quest though, like the side quest where you get drunk in Skyrim and then you have to go back and undo all of your stuff. Like you end up in a week at a haunted repair station where you're dealing with psychedelic drugs causing you to hallucinate Cthulhu everywhere you walk. I think that'd be an interesting addition to content. See how you make it happen.
Especially, if you're on the fringes of Xi'an space, that could be a great way to introduce the Kurthak.
Yeah, just randomly Cthulhu. Kurthak is just Cthulhu. So next question, last of the questions of mayonnaise from yesterday, who asks, do you think players will be able to create their own stellar phenomena? For instance, detonating a ship's core to create a radioactive field that obscures other players' sensors.
Only if you're using the right modules on your Endeavor.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think that's a little too specific.
Yeah, that's really okay. Again, I mean, coulda, woulda, shoulda. The game, I love the community for its creativity and desire for actual full immersion, being able to do everything. But there's got to be a limit somewhere, right? We're just at the stage now where we're starting to get more playable frames.
I could see something like the first Bengal destroyed by a player becomes a permanent landmark sort of thing, or the wreckage on a planet,
Yes.
that sort of thing. But yeah, I can't see a human-made black hole happening.
No, I could see a in lore stellar phenomena created by the actions of a player, but it would be only if the CIG decides that that's funny enough for them to do so or interesting enough. It has to be a big event.
I'm reminded of a thing. Remember when they had they say security port Korea? You blow out the windows, blast shields come down so that no one dies, because you would effectively ruin it for everyone else for that week while that thing was dead. So if that's the stance that CIG is willing to take on giving us our cake but not making us troll an entire community of people that want to go to security port Korea, I'm just using that as an example. Then I can see blowing up a ship and making a new nebula or something as not being something that's too much power in one gamer's control, right? It would destroy other people's gameplay, I suppose, or affect it anyways. It
would have to be something like the wreck, like what Eve did with that massive battle where they have a monument and some wreckage floating around that where it was. Yeah. It'd have to have some major impact in the game in order for it to happen. And let's say it wouldn't happen, but there'd have to be a reason for it, and it would have to be on CIG's end. It wouldn't be procedural. Wouldn't be something happen they could just on the fly.
I would like to see, though, the opportunity for some Mobile Suit Gundam UC style gameplay where you've got those debris rings around planets, and the combat is so intense and chaotic that the capital sized torpedoes could potentially dislodge some of the debris and make it fall to the planet.
They have some of that effects for Squadron 42 because they've got that trash ring around that moon.
But that stuff just kind of happens naturally within the confines of the computer controlling it. I'm talking about players going head to head against one another, and say a stray torpedo hits one of these larger pieces of debris and that knocks it out of orbit and into the atmosphere. That would be interesting.
And Guns and Glues is saying he was trying to clarify, saying he thinks you're saying like about a degree where filled. They basically inebriating, like preventing scanning because of what you did, like dumping a core for several days. And and what we're saying is that's too much power in one player's hands.
Right.
To completely.
And I agree with
like
that. I still stand by that. That's having an EW ship that does it actively as part of its role versus just dumping a crybaby from Firefly into space and spoofing everything. There's two completely different levels of power, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. And even a crybaby would make sense in a game if it was a element of the game that would only last for so long.
Couple minutes.
Couple minutes or an hour or something like that. Nothing that's going to happen for like weeks, which is what these kind of stellar phenomena would happen. Next question comes from Firefly212, who asks, is the Phoenix the official pub ship, or could any ship be with a bar still be it? Yes, any ship with a bar could still be it. Right now I'm using the 600i, or I want to use the 600i because it's big, it can hold a lot of people, and it's
got that fancy view behind the bar.
It's got a great view. Also, the upskirt shot is kind of disturbing, CIG. I don't know why you have an upskirt bar, window, but maybe you've been to some fancy parties I've never heard of, but, just don't wear skirts. I'm just saying. Just don't wear skirts on a 600i.
Although I will say, on the Phoenix, that Phoenix logo directly behind the bar would be a great place for the Astropub logo.
Yeah, a certain doctor of the drones variety has been pushing that real hard for CIG, and I've been enjoying that little discussion. It's like, you just keep fucking up the sign. It's this sign. How hard is it, CIG?
I haven't considered. You should consider this from a utilitarian perspective. The Caterpillar might make a better bar because cleanup is easy.
I have a Caterpillar for that reason.
Just spent the rooms.
But I
off my ship, just party's over. Door opens,
Out.
Everyone go.
Why do you think I always have a helmet nearby?
The golf carts, not the fast carts, but the golf carts and the booze bottles. Everything just gets VTO, vent to atmosphere, VTA, and then close the door. Done. New party. 10 hours.
Exactly. Now the only thing is I need to have that bar module for the Caterpillar. They did talk about that at one point.
That would be cool.
Like a party module for a Caterpillar, which would be interesting.
And then the torpedo room to fire people at the front.
And they did talk about that too.
Yes.
Which
the man cannon.
I want that man cannon back. The next question comes from Firefly212, who asks, other than the Kraken, what sort of ships do you think we'll be seeing soon? Noob, what kind of ships do you think we'll be seeing more of in the future?
Okay. I'm not going to speak about that because it's varied. Like we already know this. It's a cornucopia of possibility coming up. But every time this year they come out with something around $750. Mm-hmm. I think last year was the Pioneer. The year before was the Polaris.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Before that, I was not even paying attention.
It was the Javelins and the Aegis. They
so this
sell them at that time.
Expect more Buku this year. I mean, this is the big push, right? This is the spike in that funding every year, and then the anniversary sale kicks in again. So hopefully that answered the question. I know that it didn't really.
How about you, Shiver? Do you see any kind of ships going forward? What they'll be making?
I would guess we're going to see possibly new mining ships or maybe new salvage ships, because they did say on Calling All Devs once they've finished with mining, or finished with this iteration of mining, they're going to start looking at salvage. We've only got the Reclaimer at the moment to salvage, and that's an extremely expensive ship, much rarer than people with a Prospector, so we'll need something smaller, and I'm hoping that that's going to be it and help test salvaging.
Well, hopefully we'll have the Vulture out by then, before they do that, because that's the smaller ship that does it. But yeah, I agree. I think more smaller... Now, one of the things that I noted is, like, we have no small people transport. I know that people transporting isn't a big deal.
Small people transport?
Yes.
Or small people transport?
Yes.
TD people.
Tiny people. So, for instance, people pointed this out before, but I agree, which is the freelancer. If you could put in seats in a freelancer, it could be almost like a commercial airline. Just, put like 20 or 30 seats and have a little row in the middle. That means you can like have NPCs come on, take a seat, you can close up the back, and then you can take them from point A to point B, nice and cheap, small distance running, because you're probably not going to be able to go long distance with the air support.
So you're basically talking anything with a longer range than an Argo.
Yeah, like a shuttle, like something that's going to transport new colonists to a colony on mass, rather than having to going
Hull
on
B,
one at a time.
put them in the containers.
Yeah, just shove them in the containers. Good luck. But something like that, but even maybe even a ship for that. I've also joked about things like a 2-person Drake starter combat ship, like basically two lawn chairs, a machine gun, and an engine. Something like that for like a
Buccaneer.
Yeah, well, like a 2-seater Buccaneer,
Okay.
like something with but smaller. So something like you could use as a starter ship that someone would be like, maybe I should do, multi-crew, and so you have one person who's dedicated to doing like engines and weapons, like a radar operator, versus a pilot, because that's the idea of the Super Hornet, and I could see something like that in a smaller form that would be introduction, like a mini Buccaneer or mini Cutlass.
You bring up an idea that I had thought about that I thought would be kind of cool, and you guys let me know if you think this is cool. The same thing you're talking about. Pilot has full control of the weapons. However, the second guy, the Rio, he can look over here and do lock-on for missiles in advance. And as long as the pilot moves within, that missile's already locked on because the second person has put the effort in to track the target.
That's a great idea.
So
you could do something like that. You could also do things like maintaining radio or scanning, because you have to flip. Right now, you have to flip to the scanning device. Have someone just constantly scanning, so you can constantly keep updating, so you know the status and the damage.
A reason to have the guy there, a real advantage, right?
Mm-hmm. Something that you could do technically, maybe with an upgrade, but it would be easier with another person. And I think Drake is perfectly suited for something like that, like a less of a more of a utilitarian, get your buddy in and give him a job sort of ship than a one-seater do everything like we have with the Aurora and the Mustang.
I could also see RSI and even Consolidated Outlands doing something like that.
Yeah. And Nighthawk, what other ships do you think we're going to be seeing in the near future?
Honestly, it's not so much what I think we might be seeing. It's more what I would like to see, and I think it's nice to have a wide variety of ships. So what I personally would like to see is them taking the time to come out with more ships in support of entry level and mid-level tiers concerning actual professions. Like, it's really nice that they have the Vulture. It's really nice that they're giving us the Vulcan. It's really nice that we have the Prospector. But just have one ship at the entry level, one ship at the mid level, one ship at the, for lack of a better term, end game level. It seems kind of limited to me. So I would just like to see them at some point starting to fill out those ranges a bit more.
Yeah, I agree. I think having more options rather than just a reclaimer for heavy salvage would be nice. And it would be a way that they could go back and look at the salvage mechanics after they've released it to evaluate how they could make something different. Like the reclaimer is very specifically targeted towards large ships. Maybe you could get a ship that's more like from Drake, that's more like a dump truck, where you just have a huge flatbed where you can carry larger amounts of scrap, but it's not so much. It's more of a scrap ship than it is like specific pieces,
like a tow truck almost.
Yeah,
like dump truck, right?
Like a big dump truck, like a huge truck compared to the Vulcan. And
grab a raw chunk of ship and just bring it back, not processed.
Yeah, which would be its own kind of gameplay difference from making it different from a reclaimer, and other things like that. Like we have the Orion, which shoots a giant laser at a
or just swallows asteroids whole.
Yeah, but we could have a miner that is designed to go onto the planet and has a bunch of 13 different little mining lasers on it that you just mine the floor, the ground with those, and then pull out huge chunks rather than having to just a giant death laser. You have tiny death lasers,
Or you could even go a different way with that, because they recently talked about the hardware that they were concepting where someone would potentially have to EVA out and lay out this grid of hardware that would affect a change on the resilience of the rock that you're trying to cut up to get a better precision cut to break it up and get
a dampening field, like right
Right.
out of Star Trek. It
So
was
why-
it's good.
Why can't we have like a mid-range mining ship that can do some of the mining? It's very good at laying out the hardware to create those dampening fields and sort of set up the gameplay for other mining ships, larger or smaller, to come in and take advantage of this field. Like, there are a lot of ways that they can play around with it, and I would really like to see them eventually starting to do that.
I've been getting back into MechWarrior and the BattleTech universe, and for both lore and for gameplay purposes. And one of the things that MechWarrior has always done really well is there are always light, medium, heavy, and assault mechs. But each mech, you don't just have one assault mech or even a dozen assault mechs. You have, 30, 40 plus different styles of assault mech, which have their own style. I may be overestimating that, but they all have their own style and their own purpose. The reason to use them would be slightly different. And it works well with even modern day in terms of, there's not just one, fighter that exists in militaries. There are usually dozens of different types of fighters for different types of roles, for different types of purposes. In some cases, like the Navy may have a fighter that the Army doesn't have, or that the Air Force doesn't have, but they both serve the similar purposes. It's just that the Navy needs it to be able to land on carriers, whereas the Army doesn't. So they can be different sizes, even though they fill similar roles.
Absolutely.
So those kind of things could be interesting in long term in terms of gameplay, because it also diversifies how you approach gameplay, even as groups. So that's a good question. Next question from Diablos, who asks, will you keep a tally of how many times you say NDA? No.
I don't say NDA.
Yeah, he shows
Damn
it. Firefly asks, Noobifier, did you make that wood thing behind you?
Mm-hmm.
You built it by hand, didn't you?
It sucked.
Yeah,
He does everything by
It
hand.
was like a weekend, man.
Well, it's difficult because you have to put it in the right levels in order
There's
to trap
one there
sound.
too. So there's one on the front and back of the room. Oh, whoop, NDA.
NDA. I miss those.
I got a couple.
So I still have the shirt.
Yeah, there's
that I
1,400 little blocks. It was a pain in the ass, but it's totally worth it.
It's easier than the foam too, because you can actually buy that where the foam is a little bit more expensive. Next question comes from Fastcart, who asks, of the 2,350 tickets sold for CitizenCon, what percentage do you think will actually attend?
All of them.
I
Interesting question.
don't think all
At least
of them
3/5 will.
At least 3/5. God damn it. That I think you're probably going to get at least 50% showing up. The idea is that there's always going to be people who buy a ticket and then find out they can't come because they can't get the time off or something happens.
It's not transferable, right?
It's non-transferable either. So
Yeah.
And it's not. You can't give it back because it's 30 days.
it's 30 days.
Right.
So, but I guarantee you there'll be more people there. Maybe they were more severe last in 2017, but in my experience, almost everyone says that CitizenCon really isn't super critical of like the ticket thing. They may be getting more critical because they have so many people coming in, but there are going to be people who show up who don't have tickets.
Happened in 2016.
There's just going to be people who show up without tickets. So I wouldn't be surprised if CIG figured out how many people were attending, or get a good gauge for it for like the initial like volume of people coming in through the door, and then sat there and went, maybe we can sell some extra tickets, and they'll have like a certain number that they'll be able to give to people.
Yes, inner hype. At 2016, I did have to turn away a lot of people.
So it depends, because some people also, it wasn't like they were looking to see it was your specific account. So if you had a friend who had an account, they weren't looking at IDs and your name. It was more just you have a ticket, scan, move. You just didn't get the cool swag if it wasn't in your account. So even though it's not transferable, it's not it's harder to prove that you're not that person because it's not like they require ID. So they do say ID is required at some point. So, all right. So, with that being said, let's move on. Ebus Gaming asks, CIG loves their physicalized items. And in the future, if someone has a grenade equipped in hand or in armor, a well-placed shot will be able to make it explode. You can't shoot grenades and have them explode.
Grenades don't work like that in real life anyways.
No, in reality, you can't shoot grenades and have them explode. It's the old myth that if you pull the pin on a grenade, it starts a timer. It's the striker handle that's on the actual grenade that prevents it from blowing up. It's when you release it, it sends in the charge, and then it's a timed charge or timed fuse to have it explode.
As long as the spoon stays in place, nothing happens.
Yeah, you could, and there are such things as dud grenades where the actual fuse is bad. And they're dangerous, but they're only dangerous if somehow the fuse reignites or something ignites it.
Phosphorus and thermite are the only two that you might be able to do that, and they're pretty rare. So,
yeah. So, but most grenades are pretty stable unless they have actual actual charge on them. Kind of like a lot of modern day explosives, especially for like commercial use, are they're pretty much just inert unless you have a blasting cap on them. Similar to the grenades, soldiers wouldn't be carrying them on their person if one small tap would blow the whole damn thing up.
No, you can light C4 on fire. You can literally burn it.
You can cook it, with it. You can eat it, and it's not even.
Don't eat it. You can eat. You can cook on it, but you can't eat it, Paul.
You can eat it. It's not toxic.
You could eat it.
It's not good. You shouldn't eat it.
You're not going to enjoy it.
No, it's not good.
The aftermath is not worth the joke.
Better than tofu.
Yeah.
What's it feel like?
C4
plasticky.
Shits. Yeah. the C4 shits, I'm sure, are very, very explosive.
Don't go out and eat military grade explosives, please.
Yeah, please don't do that. I say it as a possibility in terms of saying like it's super inert unless you have an actual like means to ignite it. But don't go eating explosives. It's not going to have a good time.
If you put A1 sauce on it, does someone shout out, "You sunk my battleship"?
That's bad. Oh. But I think what we'll probably see more than likely is we may see the trope of of shooting the grenade and exploding. But it'd probably only be for specific grenades, like a plasma grenade or like a thermite grenade, because I know they're going to have thermite grenades because they've planned on having it for a while. They have like a whole range of grenades that were made by Behring that they've developed, including fire grenades, which
incendiary.
are incendiary. Well, it's not really incendiary because they don't work like incendiary. They work like napalm.
Napalm?
So you throw it and it just kind of explodes open rather than like. It's more like it's almost like throwing a Molotov cocktail of napalm than it is like an incendiary grenade.
So I want to end that question on a positive. There was a time where I went Newtonian, turned around, and actually the game was able to let me shoot a missile out of the sky.
Yes.
So in Arena Commander.
I
so
remember that.
It is possible, but don't think that that's your CO1. Like every time a grenade comes in, you're just going to shoot it.
Yeah, and that is one of those things that they want to do because it's a classic
makes such a cool video.
Not necessarily shooting the grenade, but shooting missiles out of the sky is one of those things that they want to do because it's been done in Wing Commanders before. It's been done in many other games that the whole blow the missiles up before they hit your mothership kind of play. So
plus, it just makes you feel like a boss when you actually do it.
Yeah. It's not going to be easy, but it'll probably be easier than it is in real life. All right, next question comes from Fastguard, who says, "I heard Relay is looking for volunteers to watch the presentation live on the 10th. Has Relay found enough yet? I don't know. I know that."
Yes.
Yes, they have.
If I could find one more person who's not going to CitizenCon, preferably American, who's willing to be back up in case someone does back up, let me know.
I'm sure you can find someone. And that they don't have to be part of the relay station, right? They can be
absolutely anyone.
Yeah. Anyone who wants to come hang out with the Relay guys, this is your chance. Next question comes from Redacted, who asks, so is Sheep Citizen the source of all these leaks? Of course she is, but no one's going to touch Sheep Citizen. She's just untouchable. She's just not even CIG wants to piss her off.
Did Sheep Citizen not have anything to say about it?
Sheep.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. It's just perfect. Next question.
You guys are on some good drugs.
Next question comes from Darj, who asks, so who's up for a Test-a-Hall bottle giveaway during the CitizenCon period? I'm down for a Test-a-Hall. So for those of you guys who don't know, Darj, I don't know if he did it last year. I know he did in 2016. But he has a distiller in his local area make him some bottles of schnapps, and it's brewed specifically for CitizenCon. He only makes a couple bottles for CitizenCon, and we call it Test-a-Hall. It's got all test memorabilia. I still have an empty bottle because I was the bartender at the test party in 2016, so I have one of those bottles as a keepsake.
Did he just put up a picture of like 6 or 8 bottles today?
Yes, on Twitter he put up 6 or 8 bottles without labels.
How many people go blind every year?
I don't know.
At least 4.
Ask Jay Lee, because at the end of that party, half of the LA staff called out sick.
We need him to keep his eyes. Test. Right? We need him to finish the game. After the game's done, he can drink as much blinding Test-a-Hall as he likes.
It's pretty good. I don't know what flavor schnapps it was or what he used for it, but it's a fairly
burnt
decent.
shoe.
Yeah, it's
right.
It's cat flavored Test-a-Hall. Is that right? Yeah.
See, Darsh is getting all defensive now. I'm just joking. I've not been known to be a joker, but I am, sir.
He is.
Right.
Let's see, how many is that? That's
in character.
10 bottles of Test-a-Hall.
Dang. What? You sure?
He says
It
6.
looked like it was in front of a mirror.
Oh, is that a mirror? Oh, that is a mirror.
I thought it was a mirror.
I am an idiot. That is a mirror. I just thought it was really weirdly stacked. So yeah, 6 bottles. He said 6 bottles of Test-a-Hall. So yeah, 6 bottles. That's nice. I don't know how many he had. I think he had like 7 or 8, but
1 for each night.
That's a new tradition. 1 for each night. We will get blind stinking drunk. I don't know how to make that sound work. Next question comes from Whatbread, who asks, what liveries would you like to see on for certain manufacturers? More than we have now, if that counts as an answer. We have some pretty piss poor customization options in terms of like liveries and paint jobs and stuff like that. And I know that they want to make more. I'm just confused. Like, give me more skins.
I mean, again, guys, it's fun to talk about it, but I think I've got the electroplate whatever hull skin since 2014. Yeah. I've never seen it. You know, it might as well be shut up and take my money. It might as well be that because I haven't seen it yet. But yes, gun skins. I think gun skins should come in first. And then the buggy. The buggy had a couple skins there. That was fun to play with. But the reality is playable frames. Mm-hmm. And then we worry about if your ship is flesh colored or not.
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they showed off the customization options in like 2015 or 2016, where they had.
They've showed a lot of stuff off in 2015.
Where they had like the rotating. They like rotated around a saber, and like every like second they changed the skin on the saber.
And they had the test one where the black and the gold.
The black and the gold.
Just to tease you, the carrot, you know.
Yeah. With an actual
they
test
did say
skin.
that. They said that doing RGB color on the outside of the ship, no problem. That's all one texture. And the other thing is it's prioritization as well. As Noobifier said, get the game playable. It's got to be playable because they need to release Squadron. You don't need a Hello Kitty Gladius to play Squadron.
Listen, Japan would disagree. All right, the amount of customization.
Don't let her hear that.
The amount of anime skins I have seen on Ace Combat planes is too damn high. It's almost a requirement to have that kind of level. Skin. I got that. I finally got that. I am slow.
Right?
Next question comes from Lamba, who asks, what are your thoughts on a solid base of Evocati leak gameplay to the goons?
I would say no. I don't know. Like, okay, so every single time I see, like, the Reclaimer, for example, it does piss me off, right? But then I make a video about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I'm guilty by association, I guess.
I think, for me, again, my biggest issue, and I said this before, is that I think leaks are harmful to the community as a whole because it gives the wrong impression of the gameplay that it actually should be. And I don't like leaks in general because, you know, someone like me, if like I have handled gameplay or games themselves before they were allowed to be seen by the public because I had early access to them so I could try them out and then I could play them live before they went live as a promotional thing. And I've had to sign NDAs before like that. If I had broken that just so I could get some sweet new views for a game that's been anticipating to come out, I wouldn't be working as a streamer. I would get no one would want to work with me, period. So I have a different view on it. I feel like people who break NDAs are risking a lot more than just here's a leak of the game. And it's more of like a problem that I see as a big thing. Like
it's ignorant.
It's people breaking things because they think they have a right to free information, but all they're doing is hurting the same thing that they want to show off for the sake of instant press or because of some ill-conceived idea that everyone deserves some information which everyone knows they're going to get in like 3 months. It's not like they hide shit in the Evocati builds that they don't eventually show off. It's an Evocati build. It's just the build of the next patch that everyone gets within 2 to 3 weeks of it going into Evocati. So,
I mean, I can understand both sides of the coin. You know, there are plenty of people who believe that open development means we should see everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But doesn't mean that I'm for leaks. I don't think they should be happening. You know, it's like that big leak a few years ago, and a bunch of people were excited to see all these new Fondul concepts and all this information for Squadron 42 that we weren't getting. But at the same time, you're stealing the thunder of the people who are working on it. Half the fun and the excitement and the drive for them to be working on this stuff is to be the ones that get to show it off to you first. Yeah, so why steal that from them?
It's also important to think about, like, if you saw all of the creation process of something like Cyberpunk, which a lot of people are really excited for, would you be as excited for the game if you saw all of the warts of the game?
Yeah, not necessarily.
Now, I agree, it's an open development, but it's not like the stuff that you're getting in PTU or in full release is different from the stuff that's being worked on Evocati. It's just less buggy. So,
right.
It's I think it's less of a open development and more of a for me it's more of an impatience thing. Like you really can't wait 3 weeks to see, you know, FOIP. Is that really like really?
I mean, I think back to before there was Evocati. First wave PTU technically was the equivalent to the Evocati, and everyone could see what was going on in first wave PTU. And a lot of times it was just people racing to get out of the Port Olisar area, otherwise the game would crash on them. And that got really repetitive, and there was a whole group within the community that was just getting burnt out way too quickly on Star Citizen. Not because they could or couldn't play it, but because it made the game and the performance and the experience seem far less than it actually was. And then after a few iterations beyond Wave 1, when everything started to stabilize, everybody would come running back. I just think, wait for the point where everybody comes running in. What's the big deal?
I understand.
I've got similar conclusion, but completely different reasons. You know, if you are in a position to leak and you want to leak and you signed an NDA, it's your fucking choice. If you see a leak and you want to look at the leak, you're not breaking any rules or laws. You click on that link. Who gives a shit? If you don't want to look at it and you don't want it spoiled, don't fucking click it. If CIG want to enforce their NDA, they have the option to. but there's also it's at this point where it is advertising. If someone is genuinely interested in the game, they'll be like, oh, I see that and it's buggy as shit, but I'm still interested. I'll follow this vaguely, or I won't follow this at all, or I will go and buy a package and wait. It has advantages, it has its disadvantages, but at the end of the day, if you as a person don't want to look at leaks, just take the adult option and go, fuck it, I don't care.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I'm not here to say that you shouldn't leak or shouldn't leak. Should leak. My personal belief is why.
You should not.
What are you getting out of it that you wouldn't get out of it otherwise?
Clicks.
And I understand that people are like, oh, well, I don't trust CIG. They're hiding the fucking Mona Lisa in these builds, that they stole from the Louvre, and it's been a replacement this whole time. I've got you, Chris Roberts. But it's like CIG isn't some shadowy monster that's trying to consume your lunch money. CIG is pretty open about most of what it's developing. Like, what you see is what you get. It's not like they're hiding the final game in the ETF builds and only special snowflakes get to see it. It's a buggy mess that you're going to see in PTU or live release anyways. It's just less buggy in PTU and live release. That's all that Evocati is. It lets them get more people into the game because they don't have, even though they have 500 employees, they don't have the however many people that are in an ETF right now. To constantly test it.
Yeah,
like thousands
2,500 or something like that.
That's a really good point. Because even with over 500 employees, I'm pretty sure pretty much every single employee, including QA, is tasked out to work on very specific things. And they don't have the free time available to drop a bunch of devs on to start testing en masse various features or just stability or any other thing like that. And that's what the ETF and second wave of PTU is really important for.
And people forget that one of the bigger reasons why they have an NDA is because they used to do PTU open and people could just play at PTU. But when streamers and YouTubers got a hold of the PTU builds and they started playing them, they looked like garbage because they were first wave. And so it looked bad and people got complained. So the NDA'd Evocatis is essentially a way to help the same people who want to help test the game, who have a little bit more patience for dealing with the problems, but also they also don't want the bad publicity. It's 100% a publicity thing. As Shiver and most of us have been saying, it's mostly a publicity thing, is why they have an NDA. And you think that the same people who are under NDA, like myself, wouldn't be talking specifics about a patch because we don't want to not work with CIG in the future. I kind of don't want to get sued for saying something that I shouldn't. It's lawsuits are bad. I think that's the problem, is that most people say this is open development. I demand to see everyone. I want to see Chris Roberts' tax returns. I want to see the health forms of every single employee who's worked at CIG. And I think there is a level of open development and too much microscope. That's not open. That's microscopic in terms of investigation. Now, there are some arguments to say, hey, we need to see the financials. It's not like other crowdfunded projects don't show their financials on a regular basis. They do. There are plenty out there that talk about where their money goes. And CIG has not chosen to do that. Do I think it's a good thing? I didn't care before. I may care more about it now the longer we go into it, seeing where that is. But at the same time, I'm not worried about money running out. And I don't see Chris Roberts sneaking off to the Bahamas in a new super yacht with money from people who are buying at 890 jumps. It doesn't seem what we're.
No, he wants the game to be. He is wealthy enough before the game that I don't think this is about profit. He wants the game to be finished because it's a project that he's wanted to do. That's not me being a shill. Mm-hmm. That's what I actually believe. Over the years that I've been following it, I've never seen indication any other way, because if he was trying to steal money, he wouldn't actually be making builds, right? He would just sell a bunch of ships. I think Level Cap did a very interesting video on this a month ago, and it was that tangible progress is being made and the build is delivering at a slower than pace than what we were expecting, right? But it's happening. So for it to be scam citizen is to very generalize quote him. It can't be just because there is progress being made. There's weekly progress.
All right. I mean, we could go on this for a long time. That's one of those issues that has to do with more how open is open development and what do you define as open development, and that's almost as nebulous as talking about an alpha. What makes an alpha versus most people kind of agree on a beta, but what's the difference between a pre-alpha and alpha? What's a tech demo versus a pre-alpha versus an alpha? And each person you're going to talk to, even in the industry, is going to probably have a different term for what it means, because it's not a hard and fast rule. It's just there, and so open development could be as simple. Some people thought open development is just like 1 month. Hey, check in. This is what the game's progress is like, and there's a lot of developments of games and projects that are open development have like monthly or maybe weekly check-ins. That's about it. They don't really have a lot of connection with their people. Star Citizen has a lot more, but a lot of people feel like that's not enough. So it's really up to your own personal opinion on what you think open development is. All right, moving on from that. Next question comes from Dirk, who asks, with the introduction of truck stops, should we expect the current iteration of Port Olisar to be changed too much, to match? Not yet. They've said that already.
No, but Cryastro is gone.
Yeah, Cryastro's gone.
Okay.
I think the difference between small truck stops, because they specifically say that these are small truck stops. Olisar would be like a large station or a large truck stop compared to the small truck stops.
But didn't they park a Starfarer in a small truck stop?
They did.
They did.
Excitement.
Mm-hmm.
In a hangar, no less.
And remember, Olisar is, in lore, the gateway to
Crusader.
So you have to go through Olisar before going back down to the planet, in some way, shape, or form. So I'd expect it to actually get bigger than it currently is in the future, just as a way station, and for it to be the prototype for all the way stations that exist around all the planets. I'm assuming they're going to be probably around all of Stanton's planets, as well as other planets will have large stations as way stations.
Yeah. And another nice thing about it is you'll actually be able to go from one end to the other instead of having to EVA between terminals.
Mm-hmm. Next question comes from Derpinator, who asks, do you think they will introduce another ship other than the one we already know about at the presentation? I think he's talking about, will we get another concept ship other than
the Big Bird?
The Big Bird. I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think they might put other ships. I think they may put other ships back on sale for a period of time, but I'm not expecting 2 ships at SidCon.
No, but if they do show off one more ship, they'll probably be withholding it until the holiday live stream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Last year they technically did, because they gave us the Raven and the Pioneer.
But you couldn't purchase the Raven as a
but if this question is about that, I mean, who knows?
Suppose,
but it is possible that there are 2 ships coming out because they've done it in the past.
Yeah, that's true. The difference was that the Raven was like almost instantly available. I think it came out in 3.0.
It was that patch, and all you needed to do is spend $700 on a hard drive.
On hard drive.
Start getting Vulture.
Almost as a coincidence, I could see the Mustang going on sale simply because 3.3 comes out, new Mustang in 3.3.
New Mustang, and it's a starter ship, so you could easily just say that all the starters that have Mustangs will be on sale. You
Oh
do
my
that
God,
too.
Mustangs with LTI. Come on. Warp on.
They never had Mustangs with LTI, did they? Because they came out as they came out straight as
they did.
They did.
My original Banks thing had LTI.
Does it? Okay. There was something. There was one of those ships that came out. Well, it didn't come out as a concept. It came out as a ship, but never had LTI as part of as part of
Titan.
it. Was it the Titan?
Well, Titan was a module, right? They called it the Titan module forever. It was an unreleased. Still a good ship.
Yeah,
it's
you're right. Because I
one of the
had to upgrade
best
the
ships.
original bench.
All right.
Yeah.
So, next question comes from Whatbread, who asks, what other games are keeping you entertained while waiting for more Star Citizen content? Nighthawk?
Spider-Man PS4.
I've heard it's about a 20-hour game.
A little closer to 15, but if you play it like a completionist, then there's a ton of hours. There are a lot of Easter eggs in the game too, so you could just go swinging around for hours, and like it's a lot of fun. You know, it's not necessarily the greatest game that's ever come out, but it's definitely a lot of fun. It's solid play. They really did a good job with the combat and the traversal mechanics. So I've really been enjoying it.
Nice. How about you, Shiv?
Shamefully, Star Trek Online.
I've heard Star Trek is one of those games where a lot of people go back to it.
Yeah, it's been 10 years for me.
Yeah, so like some people will stop every 2 or 3 years and come back to it. Some people will stop, for longer periods. But a lot of people like coming back to SEO. And my limited experience with STO is all right. Could be better. Like
it's a hell of a lot more. Like, there's a hell of a lot more to it than there was 10 years ago, obviously. Yeah. But there's still a lot of bugs in it, and it's still not a perfect Star Trek game. But then it is a Star Trek game, and it isn't bad at what it does.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you don't mind being a Starfleet officer that goes around making first contact and shooting it.
We're going to find strange aliens and shoot them in the face. Less Star Trek Federation and more, Mirror Universe Federation.
The sheep's been too busy leaking Evocati patch notes.
She plays nothing but Star Citizen all the time, every day, 24/7. You should see. Right. You should see her Twitch channel. It's like
the sheep also runs an online ship sales thing.
Yeah,
you got to be careful though, because it might fleece you.
It might.
Very funny.
Oh, bah. Noobifier, how about you? What other games have you been playing?
I loved the Battlefield beta. Sadly, I can't play it anymore. According to, I'm trolling you in Discord. It says that I'm playing Battlefield. It's just Firefox.
Just Firefox.
So, yeah, it's just Firefox. It's
I love your
beta.
trolls. Your trolls are always like playing Star Citizen 3.3. It starts with 3.4, kind of stuff.
Delta, like try to make it believable. And people, I always get a couple people like, "Oh my God, you're such a bastard. I hate you." And I'm like, it's not real. Don't hate me. Well, hate me. I don't care. But the beta was a little bit buggy, but I hadn't played any like actual finished game in a long time. So I was so used to Star Citizen and all the stuff associated with that Battlefield, even though it was like a beta, felt super strong. So no, I liked that. I'm excited for 76 coming out. That looks like a cool little take on mixing Fallout and Rust, I guess, together. It's like a survival base building kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, Star Citizen's still my passion. Like 3.3 is going to come out. I'm going to play it. Soros and I were joking that I don't play Battlefield, or that I don't play Star Citizen anymore. And it's hard for me to sink as much time as I used to because ESP is borked and because flight's changing. Yes, there's playing, but then sometimes you just got to shelf it. Like if I was a racer and I knew that 3.4 was going to reinvent the wheel, I'm like, why sink 50 hours into learning and being good if they're just going to change it anyways? There is muscle memory, but at the same time, it's kind of whatever. So we stick to mining asteroids. We stick to mining and testing the economy and stuff like that. And then the patch kind of tapers off. On that, if they do institute ship rentals and ship purchase, and then they further get rid of the idea of no persistence, so that I have a reason. So if I spent 10 hours mining rocks and I could get myself a saber, let's say, and I knew that 3.4, I was going to get reset, but not the ship, then you're going to see population. You'll see server stress testing and stuff like that. Sorry for the tangent. I know that's like not even anything to do with the question.
I was going to say that one of the things that's been kind of pulling me back away from Star Citizen is like, there's a lot of issues that it's just difficult to play and have fun. Like even 263, I could find some fun because combat was all right, but like when what's available in the game, which is mostly combat, is not fun, then you have to look to the other content, and the other content's fine, but it's not very engaging long term. Like trading's fine, it's not very there's no risk to it. You just do it for fun, like Euro Truck Sim kind of stuff. Mining is okay, but again, it's just shooting rocks and gathering stuff. So there is definitely limits to the gameplay right now without combat, and there are just a lot of without unlocking stuff. There's really nothing to work for, and when you do unlock stuff, that you're just gonna get wiped. It might as well not. I don't agree 100% that it should be like you should keep it forever. I think there should be some wipes down the road.
That's not it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying incentivize So what's the damage with someone guy keeping his ship? And again, this could be its entire. We could make an entire show about this. So I'm sorry if this is opened a can of worms.
No, I'm sure
money,
the questions come
money, armor, guns, all that stuff can get reset, no problem. And ships can be reset too, no problem. But I think it's down to rental. Rental doesn't incentivize me to grind to get the ship because I know in 7 days it's going to disappear again. Yes, you could argue that I need to continue to grind to keep the ship, but there's no sense of accomplishment there, just like renting a car. Whereas if I could grind and get a ship, yes, it's going to get reset in the future. Like 4.0 comes out, boom, reset, everyone back to square, and we start again. But for a year, if I knew at the beginning of the year I could keep a caterpillar that I were to grind for the entire year, then, like I said, there'll be people out there that do nothing but grind, and there'll be people out there that escort people that grind. You know, it'll be, you'll start to see that gameplay kick in. And is it now that we need that? Who knows? But I'd love to have more people testing.
Yeah, and then that will get more people testing, and that's the big goal of the whole thing. Is you want people there to hit your servers with rocks and see what falls out. And that's if you don't have people incentivized to do that, then you're not going to get that. You might as well just stick to QA, inner QA. So, and it would also, as you said in your video, which you did about it, which would incentivize people to be playing longer than just the fall down. And
the honeymoon's not over, right? There's stuff to do.
Mm-hmm. All right.
The sheep's very quiet.
Yes, I just saw NASA posting something ridiculous. That they're sending a Russian and an American to, like, two people, a Russian and an American, around the moon for a 6-month voyage just to stay around the moon.
I hope they got Xbox.
Yeah, to see the psychological and physiological effects. You know, can two people on the other side of the furthest they can be right now away from the planet just get along with each other, not kill each other?
Kind of envious.
Oh, they need to bring that. They need that volleyball from that Stranded movie there with what's his face?
Oh yeah, with
Wilson.
Hanks. Yeah, Wilson.
No problem. Yeah, Wilson will fix them. Conversations for hours.
I always feel weird. People are like, "Oh, isolation is so bad." I'm like, some of us literally intentionally isolate ourselves for months at a time because we've got content. I guarantee you, some of these astronauts, you just give them a switch and some way to power it and a bunch of games. It'll be fine for 6 months.
Breaks in takeoff.
Oh God!
Like, you are looking forward to 6 months. You got all the games ready to go. You're like, I'm going to play this all these games for 6 months, and it like take off, and you just watch it fall from this, like, the Velcro. Like, no.
That reminds me of the classic '60s episode of Twilight Zone.
Yeah, there was time now.
What's his name? The guy who plays the Penguin in the '60s Batman. Mm-hmm. He's wearing the glasses and he's really deep into books, and somehow he gets locked in a vault and comes back out. Everybody's gone. He's got all the time in the world to read, and then his glasses break.
Oh, it's a simulated thing. Okay, I just saw the tweet about it. I was just like, on
simulated. It's not fun.
Yeah,
I'm not interested anymore. Boo.
Yeah, put it in actual space.
It's like Biodome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other thing that I was going to say is the games that I've been playing are MechWarrior Online, because I've been trying to get back into it, and they've done a lot of fixes to MechWarrior. It is much better than it used to be, and they've got a really good community that's kind of stuck around and kind of built around there. I've also been looking at RimWorld got an update. I've been playing a lot of that, but I'm also looking at doing BattleTech, since they just announced a new BattleTech expansion. I'm looking at Assassin's Creed Odyssey, because it looks like the first Assassin's Creed game I will have played since Assassin's Creed 3. I played Origins for a little bit, but I didn't beat Origins. So
you didn't play Black Flag?
I didn't. I have it for free, but I've never beaten it, and I never played it because I was kind of, after 3, I felt like I played the story of Miles. I think it was Miles.
Right.
And so I was done. I was like, that's the end, right? And then they started making more. I'm just like, oh, God damn it, they're doing this shit now. Like, you know, we're gonna pump out more stuff. Like, because it felt like all of the Ezio stories, all the Assassin's Creed were less of a less of an actual like, oh, we want to tell the story, and more like, hey, we want to delay the end of the trilogy because we really fucking want money, and they like Ezio. So
I would give Black Flag a try.
I have it. I'll have it free. I'll probably try it at some point. I gotta try it. But I'm also looking forward to, like Noobifier, I'm looking forward to 76. 76 coming out soon. What else? Red Dead Redemption 2.
Can I say what I'm excited for that's not out yet?
Sure, what's that?
Damn it. Star League Battle for Atlas.
Oh, yes!
That looks like fun.
I'm looking to get that. I'm looking to get a Switch just for that game. I mean, there's other games I want to play on Switch, but like that one's really cool because it's got Star Fox and...
Star Fox.
Yeah. All right. Oh, great. Christian work on Black Flag. Now you've raised everyone's expectations. That
Thank
it has
you,
to
Christian.
be at least as good.
Good stuff. One of my favorites.
I've heard that described as less of a... It's not a Assassin's Creed game. It's more of a pirate game that they threw Assassin's Creed title onto so they could sell it. That it wouldn't be able to be sold on its own because it doesn't feel like an Assassin's Creed game, but it's fun.
I think it's a really nice balance of the two.
Yeah.
Very nice
I
balance.
heard good reviews. 7 Seas.
7 Seas. A lot of people don't realize that a lot of the stuff that was made, or the ship stuff, was actually made for Assassin's Creed 3, and then they just basically built the whole game around Assassin's Creed 3 gameplay of the ships. And then now they're taking Black Flag and making Skull and Bones, which is just the same, but now multiplayer versions of that. So, all right, next question comes from the Grizz, who asks, when do you think we'll be able to damage ships from inside using firearms? For example, shooting out a window. You can right now. I have blown up or I should say Diabolus has blown up a Avenger while I was flying it by shooting it with a railgun. He was inside, he shot the cockpit, and the cockpit slowly went from perfect to orange to red to boom. So you can definitely blow up ships from the inside with even small arms, because there's no shields protecting it. You can kill ships with small arms, in fact. But in terms of specific things like shooting out windows or destroying specific components, soon, TM. I guess. I mean, that's part of what they're doing with 3.3 with the damage states, like the degradation of ship components.
Item System 2.0 has got to come in as well, where everything is an individual item itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The ship components themselves, you have to be able to pull those out, you know. Next question comes from Multicrew, who asks, how does Multicrew work for a single ship, or for a single user? If you have one person...
Is that a riddle?
Well, you can, for instance, fly a Connie with a single person, but it's a Multicrew ship. But you won't be able to use the turrets.
You're a sitting duck.
Yeah.
Just like in real life, you know?
You can fly multi-crew ships solo, but it's not
unless
easy.
You're playing Rambo 3, then you can crew an entire tank by yourself.
Yes. Oh, God. That must have driven you crazy, seeing that kind of stuff. Because you were a tanker, weren't you?
Yes, somewhat.
Next question comes from Kyle Catton, who asks, FOIP is one of the most underrated features to come out this... No, that's a statement, not a question, Kyle. It's not a question just because you put a question mark at the end of it.
Are we allowed to agree with the statement, though?
I guess.
Or disagree?
It looks cool. Like, yeah.
Are we allowed to swear in the stream?
Yeah.
Okay, so I fucked it off initially because I'm like, whatever, immersion, whatever. Mm-hmm. The reality is, I have a major problem with it, and it's that we're not all English. And that's not itself a problem. But I actually think that, I mean, it might be immersive for the role players. You come up to some guy, you start speaking to him in English or German or whatever, and he doesn't know how to answer you, because that's like real life, like really. But it's not helpful, right? It doesn't add to gameplay other than that little bit of immersion. Maybe I'm going to have to learn German, which is another option. My main concern was it's just going to be muted, like, because people are going to go around making stupid faces at you, and some people just don't tolerate that, so they're going to go mute, right? So you're going to go up and try to barter with someone or have an actual conversation the way it's supposed to be, and that guy is not going to answer you because it's muted. So is he going to have like a big M over his head so that you know not to bother to speak to him? Because that's immersion, right? So again, there's a lot of questions. What I originally thought was they're going to make it, everyone's going to go buy webcams, and then in 2 or 3 weeks, again, people are going to be like, this is just a gadget, and they are going to not turn on their webcam or they're going to mute it, right? So VoIP are two different things. And then there's also the spatial sound, right? Those are like, there's literally three different things going on at the same time. So when you ask questions or statements like that, when you ask a statement, don't forget to specify because they are different.
Yeah, I think VoIP is probably one of the most important features that people are that it's underrated.
But that might not be localized sound. That may not be me coming up to you in the universe and speaking to you. That could be like Discord.
It could
right?
be, yeah.
So don't forget there are differences.
There are differences, yeah. We'll see of that. I'm hoping that there's still going to be like proximity voice, just because proximity voice is a feature that would prevent me from killing a lot of players in verse, because I've run into players at like Korea that I don't want to kill, but they have a gun. So if I'm like, hey buddy, back off, I'm not going to kill you, just put the gun down, it's going to be a lot easier for me to say that to that person and that person to hear me than it is for me to try to type that out, because by the time I try to type that out, he's just going to shoot me. So and it's a lot easier to warn someone and be like, hey, I've got 3 people with me, you're outnumbered, don't try this, you're just going to die. And that's and again, it's one of those emergent gameplay things that's important for gameplay going forward. Without being able to talk with people, it won't be as easy to crew up with people or to start trusting people, and it's just going to be really fucking cool to hail another ship and be like, this is the captain of the we're here to take all your shit. Give us your shit.
SSSS.
Yeah, yes. McShippy face, you know. So, next question comes from Zifro, who asks, is it possible to have a Caterpillar Touring variant with luxury? Drake? No. It's Drake.
Maybe that'll have a toilet. There's your luxury.
There's your luxury. It'll have a toilet that's not also a shower. Next question comes from Fastcard, who asks, FC, who asks, does Shiver still have the theme from Mortal Kombat playing in his head?
I didn't until he just asked that damn question.
Yeah.
Thanks, Fastcard.
Mortal Kombat. Next question comes from Enadius Shark, who asks, will we be able to get alien armor such as Tavaran or Xi'an armor that would be made to fit humans using their tech and or design?
2 months ago, they said yes.
Yes. And we know that also because in lore, the Xi'an and the humans have this really weird cross-technological thing that been going on. So, like, MISC ships, since the Freelancer, every MISC ship has got at least some, if not entirely, made with Xi'an technology, hybrided with human technology.
Yeah, and I'm going to shameless plug. If you go watch every single one of the 39 RTV ATVs in 1 minute and 62 seconds, it's in there. Mm-hmm. I know it's in there.
And that means that's only about 40 minutes for you to watch that.
Right, you can watch like 2 years of development in 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Next question comes from Fastcart, who asks, if of the 2,400 tickets sold, how many do you think will return home with some sort of con crud? Bring hand sanitizer, people. Con crud, for those who've never been to a con, is real.
87.63%.
Make sure you have
a condom.
If you put your condoms.
What are you doing at this con?
Hand sanitizer. Make sure that you are getting sleep. Make sure you're eating right. Make sure you
shower every day and carry a stick of deodorant.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
No
Shower.
open mouth tongue kisses with the men.
No.
Well, you can if you want.
You
whatever.
can, but
you're gonna get
lots of the six. Yeah. Because not only are people are going to CitizenCon, not only they're coming from all over the country, they're coming from all over the world. So you're about to be sharing germs with people from every corner of the globe.
Did you get sick in 2016, Paul? Because I didn't get
sick,
what you're talking about.
but
Yeah, sorry, Noodle.
I didn't get sick, and I had to shake everybody's hand.
But the thing is that was also like 300 people, and it was for
Right.
a day.
You're correct. That's a big variable.
Yeah,
Speak for
Like
yourself.
2,400.
That was a 4-day weekend for me.
that's true. But you were, I mean, like the difference between like a normal con, where you spend 3 days at a con, and so you spend like the first day you're all riled up to go, and you get plenty of sleep. Day 2, you're probably working on like 4 hours of sleep, but you're still energized. You're eating junk every single day because it's what's available. And then by like day 3, you've rolling on like maybe 8 hours of sleep. You've talked with 400 different people, and just by passing in very close quarters, and you've been.
And then the Testa Hall comes out.
Yeah, like you've been partying all the time.
People start dying.
No one has died from Testa Hall. You could probably kill someone with a bottle, but no one's died from
Either gone deaf or.
Does Montoya have all the passwords in case someone does die? They can get the javelins.
Yes, yes, exactly. It's one of the rules. Next question comes from Darj, who asks, or Darionator, who asks, do you think food production should be only done in large, cumbersome scale with old-fashioned farming, or should there be some sort of protein-based 3D printing like in Firefly or Cloud Atlas, which might not be as extravagant, but would largely simplify the whole sustainable, self-sustained vessel meta?
Paste.
I don't think you're going to see self-sustained vessels. I don't think that's going to be possible, because this is a game. And one of the things that they're going to require you to do is stock up on supplies of some kind. And there's too much of an opportunity for immersion. And for gameplay like money sink with supplies, that they wouldn't, and balancing in terms of being able to make money quick, that they wouldn't try to use supplies as a means to balance them. And I don't think you're going to have a situation where a ship can self-produce enough food to keep its entire crew safe and happy all the time. The Endeavor maybe, but you're dealing with huge farming pods, so you probably still need stocks of supplies.
You've got two options. It's a little known fact that the glue that they use to stick the panels together on all the ships is actually edible. So you can start licking the walls and the floor.
It's made out of C4.
It's meat glue.
Yeah.
It's made out of C4. You can.
Why did you go there?
When your NPC crewmen are asleep, you can start munching on bits of them. If they're a turret gunner, they don't need their legs.
What game did you back?
Is this not a DayZ podcast?
So next question. Brashana asks, what goodies do you think the attendees will get, or what special things will the premium ticket holders get?
Bangles.
Everyone.
Possibly coins, pins, stickers,
Shirts. No,
removable tattoos,
Rare disease.
printed brochures of whatever big ship they're releasing.
The nearer the front you are, the more covered in sweat you get.
Yeah, the lanyards, because they still have literally millions of those lanyards that they've been trying.
Yeah, there was fun swag in 2016. It got better with every year. So
yeah.
Hard drives.
I also think that whatever the digital ticket holders get, you also get probably that.
I like Captain Shaggy's answer.
I didn't see it.
Herpes.
It's not a good answer.
Herpes. The gift that keeps on giving.
The gift you get forever.
Yeah.
Sanitizer will not help.
Next question comes from Sheep Citizen, who asks, can you please turn on my mic so I can talk with Twitch viewers, please? Thanks. Your mic is on, Sheep Citizen. You know that. Stop trying to trick me. Next question comes from
Spotlight Dog.
Next question comes from Sheep Citizen, who asks, do you think it would be nice to see CitizenCon 18, the Squadron 42 vertical slice again, but with improvements since last year? We could then see the side-by-side progress they made in a year and have no further spoilers.
That would probably be pretty boring.
I don't think we're going to see the vertical slice again. I think that's the last time we'll see it. I think if we're going to see any gameplay, it'll be gameplay. The vertical slice is designed to show you a cross section of the game and what's available in the game and how the game's going to work. So we know that it has non-combat sections on the ship where you meet with crew and you progress story. 2, there are side options you can choose between the main mission and side missions as you patrol. 3, those side missions and main missions can go on planets. I don't remember if I was doing A, B, or C, or 3, whatever. Then you also have puzzle segments where you can either stealth by people or do things to reactivate certain ways. There are different paths you can take. That's basically what it was, is to show us what the gameplay's like.
Proof of concept, and it's a good way to get our feedback. Like if we say, "Oh, that was horrible," everyone agrees that was the shittiest game we've ever seen, then that would be alarming. But I think on the whole, most people were pretty impressed with what they saw. But I don't want to see it again better this year. I would like to see something new,
Good example of that would be the Morrow tour. That's almost 3 years old now.
Yeah.
And people kept saying, "Oh, I would love to see it redone. I would love to see it redone." They haven't done it. They're not going to do it. Why would they do it with a vertical slice? It's time wasted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see. We won't see anything. If we see any more gameplay, it'll be gameplay from the actual game, not something that's built for a vertical slice. Because while that vertical slice may be in the game, what we saw is probably only a portion of the actual mission that we saw, rather than the full one. And it'll probably change dramatically from what we saw to the final release.
And live demo is critical for this kind of event. If it's not live, you might as well not show it, because people just rip it apart like a pack of coyotes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anything that's even hints at pre-recording, they just lose their mind. And that's not something to do specifically with Star Citizen. That's something to do with gaming in general. Pre-recorded gameplay is basically shuts people off. They're like, this is nothing like the gameplay.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
So,
honestly, I'd rather see something.
I'd rather see a crash, but it'd be real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A pint of Meyer Meyerson asks, what would make a better Molotov, Radagast or Esquire?
Gasoline.
Testahol.
Testahol.
You want to drink that. It's too precious.
And pint of Meyer Meyerson's, the next question is trick question. The answer, of course, was Testahol. Then Brishana asks, why do you think CIG hasn't released the gadgets like the EMP grenade or the portable energy shield, etc.? Do you think they still need to prototype them?
Probably items 2.0.
Yeah.
They just finished with 3.2. They just finished a lot of the functionality of the weapons. They said, for instance, if you look at the purchasing options, the magazines that you're purchasing are actually attachables. So each magazine is actually an attached second. It's a portion of the weapon that's not the whole weapon, but it can still accept it. And at one point they talked about even ships have the same issue where right now the escape pods are actually part of the ship and not a separate entity that's inside the ship. And that's one of the issues with docking right now, is they need to make sure that they can have the Merlin be considered a second entity, but still locked to the Connie without it kind of going blah, 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 as it's flying around the back. So they're still figuring that out, working it out.
What does your cat think?
My cat is very, very, very much wants to get fed, because it's his feeding time was about an hour ago, but he's been hungry since 3. So.
You could technically ask the next question and then go have a bio
break. I could, and then go feed the cat.
We can run this.
Let's see. Next question comes from Fastcart, who asks, Paul and the rest of the cast, what sort of streaming do you plan on doing during the week of CitizenCon? Let's go with Noobifier and go through Nighthawk, and I'll go feed the hungry cat. Be right back.
So I'm a bit of a stream slut because I don't stream myself. I'll go stream with anybody who'll have me. And as I alluded to at the beginning, for those of you that are just arrived, I think it's a pretty common idea. The guys last year remembered Source set up a almost Monster Piece Theater where we're watching in the bottom. I know it has a 2K whatever. I'm not very well versed with the idea, but anyways, we watch the stream live with you guys with a slight delay, and then we give you our comments, and so it's supposed to be live and fun. And of course, if you don't like it or you want us to be quiet, then you always have the option to go watch the actual stream. And that's not to sound like dickish. That's legit. That's why we do what we do, because it's supposed to be additive. But that was a monster 11-hour stream, because we did a pre-show and then the actual thing. And it was super cool. What CIG did last year was, from booth to booth, and then keynote, and then booth around, and like it was really diverse. And I didn't actually know, we had a schedule, but I didn't know what any of that stuff meant. So it was neat, because I was just as surprised as the rest of everyone else, and it was super cool. So we're planning to do that again. And then of course, anyone, like if this show, I think most of the people are going to be at the venue, but if that Saturday there's a podcast going on, that's probably where I'll be. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, it's going to be a little harder for me, because I just took over the family business, and I actually have 2 gigs that I'm going to be juggling between that same weekend. So I'm just going to be trying to catch it wherever I can, however much I can. So I'll probably drop into the redacted stream, and I'm going to watch some of the official stream, and it's really just going to depend what my schedule allows me to do. Simple.
I've drawn the short straw, and I'm doing the whole show for Relay with the help of a friend. So we'll be there from 7 o'clock in the after evening until 2-3 a.m.
On site.
We're doing it on our Twitch. We're going to
Okay.
rehost whatever CIG are playing and talk in between the videos.
Nice.
If you want to come and troll Eris, he intends to rewatch it at some point later and talk over it. That's the one you want to go and annoy the shit out of, because it's great when he loses it.
I found out that Eris lives like minutes from where I live, which is kind of funny. We had threatened to co-stream from my house just to freak people out. Like, he's in the other room, and then
Just
during
walk
the
by?
stream, just literally walk by to go have a pee or something. And it's like,
I should do that with a few. I should bring the few on with one of these and just have us just walk by each other as
right,
we, as we cross.
totally immersion breaking.
Did you get to see what you were going to be doing, Nighthawk?
I did.
Okay, cool, excellent. Let's move on. I'm actually going to be there, so expect myself, Saurus, and Crucian. I think us 3 are the ones from Redacted that are going to CitizenCon. So expect us to be probably calling in after the show en masse and just bothering the, Noob and those guys. Being like, you just didn't get it, man. You just didn't get it. You got to be
Skype
here.
You Skype call me from Aldebar Citizens. I don't care, sir.
I will drunk call you. I will drunk dial all of the the members. Yeah. The other thing I was going to say is I have 100 shot glasses that I ordered yesterday. That will be here on Friday. So if you are going to CitizenCon, you better come talk to me and say, hey, can I get a shot glass? Because you can get a new Astropub shot glass just for you. So I'm going to save some aside, but I've got over 100, but there are 2,400 people. I don't expect all of them to want one, but there's going to be probably more than 100 people who know me.
I'll trade you a shirt for one.
Good. That'll work.
Okay. We'll talk after the stream.
Let's see. Next question comes from Fastcart, who asks, is there still 426 CitizenCon branded chargers left? I think they started with 500. Are you surprised they sold that many or that few so far? They have phone chargers that are branded with CitizenCon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That they didn't really advertise it that much. If they advertised it for people who didn't have tickets, they would. But right now it's only for people who have tickets can purchase it. Like, I didn't buy one. I'd probably buy a T-shirt if they. I'll probably buy a T-shirt if they're not sold out.
Are you talking about the redacted T-shirt? Like, not the redacted T-shirt, but the T-shirt that was redacted?
Yeah, the one that's the CitizenCon 2948 shirts.
Right. You buy a shirt, you don't even know what's on it. That's awesome.
I think it's the ship, whatever the ship is that they're showing off, which is why it's redacted.
It's a Qi charger. Apparently, according to Dodge, it's a Qi charger cable charger combo.
Oh, like wireless. The future is here, ladies and gentlemen.
Fancy. Next question comes from Brishana, who asks, do you think it's concerning that the community are worried about the livelihoods and aesthetics over gameplay mechanics or features?
Not especially, because it's not what the devs are focused on.
Yeah, I think I would say it is concerning, but it's only concerning when we get closer to a beta release. Because I think there's going to be a lot of people who signed up, and we all knew this. There are a lot of people who signed up for a dream and are going to be disappointed when that dream isn't there. And then there are people like myself who I try to be kind of reasonable about it. All I want to do is get with a bunch of people and relive, my days in DayZ, but without having to feed people excrement to have interactions with them, but have unique interactions with people while at the same time exploring a universe and enjoying gameplay on a multi-cruise ship. That's my goal as a gameplay, and we're not quite there yet. We're getting closer, and I think that's a reasonable goal. Where some people are like, "I want to be Captain Kirk," or "I want to be Mal Reynolds." It's like maybe you want to rein that back in a little bit, but hey, I'm not going to here to tell you to not dream. Maybe you can do it. How about you guys? Do you guys think it's a problem or?
So with regards to the jobs, I mean, obviously it's not what the devs are worrying about. However, I do like the fact that there are technical documents that, ever since 2013, that keep getting iterated upon every time there's a new ship or a new job that comes out or a new ship that is a job trade ship. They reemphasize their marching orders, what they're trying to do and trying to achieve. That is one of my favorite segments that I work on is the job series. It's kick-ass. I know that sounds really arrogant because I made it, but I don't mean that the videos are kick-ass. The fact that the video game developer has that much information on something they have a roadmap basically for each job. And it's very satisfying and comforting at the same time because most of what I read makes sense. And there's still lots of time for those things that don't make sense or, they're going to change. Just like Paul said, whatever you think you're getting isn't necessarily what you're going to get, but let's hope that it's better than what you think you're going to get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, having a good, reasonable mindset on that one. How about you, Shiver?
Yeah.
Do you think that's a problem, or do you think?
No, I mean, I think Nighthawk got it right. It's up to the devs, isn't it? The devs got a good mind of what they want. They've got a good plan. As Noob said, that there are these technical documents. It's not like they're going in completely blind. So they know what they want, which is, one of the hardest bits is how the fuck are we going to do this? Knowing how they're going to do it, then it just comes down to how to implement it. And that is literally these people's jobs.
All right. Next question comes from Firefly, who asks, why are all the starter ships not always for sale? They are now.
Yeah, I think
even the
100 isn't.
Oh, the 100 isn't.
Yeah, that's right.
That's because it's not available. I don't think they don't sell.
It's not flight ready.
It's not flight ready. But they're not all the ships are available that are flight ready are available all the time. And I do think that the what's the Misk starter ship, the 2-seater one?
Reliant.
The Reliant is available. You can purchase it.
And it's
right
available as a package. It's a bad value.
Yeah.
It's $80-something and it's a crappy,
Desperately
not a good value. Go get a Titan, but it is available.
So all of the starter ships, except for the 100i, are available, and the ones that aren't available that are starter ships are because they just are not flyable. So that's the reason why. And when it comes out, those initial prices will be upped. I think it was $45, $50 for the base 100i. It'll probably end up being about $55, dollars for that. It'll be up $5 each, something like that. Or they may keep it the same price. I don't know. Next question comes from Dirk, who asks, what will we have to do in our ships when jumping from Crusader to Hurston will take 10 plus minutes? Maintaining your ship?
Yep. For now.
Yeah.
Eventually, you're going to have stuff like the pool table on the 600, the chessboard in the Mercury Star Runner, the piano. in the Phoenix.
Pulling up news feeds from the various locations to see what the
scanning. There's
we might even be able to get some of these apps like Hyper Vanguard Force on the Moby Glass, and you can sit around just playing your video games if you wanted.
Now, 10 minutes seems like a long time, but you got to also remember that it's a lot shorter than you think. My commute is 45 minutes, but my wife is about 5 to 10 minutes away from her work, or used to be at least. So that seems like a long time, but it's not really in a game session when more game sessions about an hour or so. And it's not like that. You're just going to be always just from point A to point B straight 10 minutes. There's going to be some variation in there, and you may have to stop, realign, and jump again depending on where you need to end up. And
you've also got to consider for interdictions as well. Those are becoming frequent.
And, interdictions may be something like they are now, where it's like a pirate ship, trying to attack you, or it could just be a cop. Hey, we're just scanning, just doing some routine scanning. Stop. They scan your ship. You move along.
In-game prank Spectrum calls.
I wouldn't doubt it. I bet you something like that would actually happen. Like either players or NPCs. I mean, I'm sure you can also review job offers. Maybe there's a job you want to pick up on Hurston when you're going there because you're delivering cargo. So you can look up and say, oh, there's this job that's available. So there's a lot of planning involved in any Star Citizen.
We may not get that. We're not going to see that 3.3, 3.4, but the intent is to concurrent activity, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, planning and stuff like that. And all that we need to be able to do is alt tab and be able to do stuff in Discord and plan, call people, say, what are you guys doing? You want to meet up at this place? I'll be there in like 10 minutes, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't, it sounds super tedious if all you think about is, fuck, there goes 10 minutes of my life that I could be, fast jumping to somewhere, like, I don't know, Skyrim or Fallout, where you just hit a button and you wake up. But that's time dilation. You can't have that fast path in a game with a consistent timeline. So
and time, it's like your truck simulator. Part of the goal is to travel.
Right.
Yeah.
It's part of the penalty as well as the advantage.
And wait and see it before you start flaming it on Reddit.
Exactly.
Because it could turn out to not suck.
Like Hellion was a good example. Hellion, it can take about 5 to 10 minutes to jump between the planets. And it's shorter than you think. You think like, oh, I got a ton of time. But by the time you start getting bored, you pop out of jump. It's like, well, that's really quick. So it's depending, it changes depending on what you actually, it's either less than you think or it's not. I think it'll be less time than you think it will be. Like there'll be some cases where you want to start doing something like maintenance on a component that you have, and before you realize it, you're going to get a warning like 2 minutes away, and you're like, oh shit, I haven't even like popped the damn thing out yet. So
soup up your snub.
Mm-hmm.
New paint job.
Next question comes from Firefly, who asks, why is RSI better at luxury than Origin? Here's the thing. Origin is good for different reasons than RSI. And RSI has its own kind of style of luxury, but you have to understand, and I'm going to pull a lore hat. In lore, RSI has always made luxury yachts. It's one of the things that they made for a very long time. And guess who made all of the engines and components for those RSI luxury yachts? Origin. So the reality is that a lot of what makes RSI luxury comes from Origin in the first place. It's kind of like how there's a Porsche engine in every BMW car because they bought Porsche and they're using their engines. Same idea.
VW.
I was going to answer that in just 2 words.
Oh, it's VW, not BMW. Yeah.
Guest suites.
Someone commented in one of the videos, they were like super pissed off, like, how can you have this gigantic luxury ship and not have a toilet in the stateroom? It's not a real toilet. Get over it.
It's wasting space.
Poop.
They don't do that
in
on
the airlock.
They don't do that on trains. Why would they do it on a
Go
spaceship?
to the lower level with your Ursa and poop down there. I don't care.
Next question comes from the People's Radio, who asks, pirate mechanics in 2019, yes, no, and why? We had pirate mechanics in 2017 until they took them out. blowing ships up, taking the cargo out. They had that available, and they intentionally broke the large containers up into smaller containers. And the only reason why they took it out was because it was using too much memory. So we need OCS. Once OCS happens, I guarantee you they'll put it back. There was a thriving pirate community that was going on. So you're muted.
No, I know. What I said you didn't want to hear. I was just reading what I just typed.
Poop. Oh man. Anyways, I think pirate gameplay you're going to see a lot more of, or at least the beginnings of, or the re-beginnings of in the near future. Maybe not before the end of the year. And once they get the ability to knock out ships rather than destroy ships, I think that'll be another addition. Anything beyond that, anything where it doesn't require you just to blow the fucking crap out of a ship, is going to be benefit for pirates. And I think piracy is important, because without piracy, then people won't hire escorts. Without jobs, no one can be a PvP combat pilot. So, all right. Next question comes from the Orion Duck, who asks, "What is the weak spot on the Hammerhead?"
The back. They specifically said that that's the weakest. It's not weak, it's the weakest.
The weakest point, yeah.
And then as soon as you take out one turret, it's over. That spot is done.
Direct assault from the aft.
So you want to hit it in the butt, that's what you're trying to say. With surprise.
Story of my life. Where's the boys noodle when I need?
Oh, Noodle. Next question comes from... He was here earlier. Next question comes from Zephyro, who asks, "In the future, do you think devs will be using capital ships like the Idris Javelin and Bengal like places to land and find mission givers in the public universe of Star Citizen?"
You know, that might be a possibility, because they did say that your performance in Squadron 42 would carry over to and directly correlate with the relationships you have with NPCs in Star Citizen. So if you maintain something like an honorable discharge at the end of Squadron 42, you might be able to revisit some of those locations. And though you may or may not have access to various areas that you had access to in Squadron 42, you might be able to touch down and talk to someone over comms, or even walk into, say, like the flight operations facility. You might not even get to touchdown. You might just run video comms ship to ship, pick up your mission, and keep going.
I could see a raid style mission where like you go to an area and you're guaranteed that at some point during a conflict that one of the javelins or the Idrises or something like that, or Idri, will get boarded. And your job is partially to keep them alive. Like the old school escort missions, but it's like you have different waves, and you're guaranteed that like at some point boarding pods will hit the ship, and you have to go to the ship and protect it. And partially FPS, partially space. I was thinking a lot about like raids in Star Citizen, or the kind of raid, what raids would look like in Star Citizen if they had them. And I was thinking something that can be repeatable, that has no story directly connected to it, but has enough of a story that's vaguely connected to the universe that it would make sense, and that would be difficult but predictable. Something that would happen frequently, but it's not something that would happen all the time. You'd have to be, and it would have to make sense. It couldn't be just like, hey, we know that this Idris...
Right place, right time.
Yeah, it'll be like a different Idris or a different Javelin, but we know it's going to be in this system because there's always attacks in the system. It won't necessarily happen all the time, so you have to be in that area and wait for a call, and so when you get the call, then you can go. Rather than like, hey, we're going to go trigger the raid by doing this, this, and this. So,
do you know what I haven't heard a lot about lately?
What's that?
Is the idea so obviously Squadron 42 is a single-player campaign, but the idea of being... having a harder mission, let's say, that like Nighthawk and myself could co-op and try to plow through it.
That
right?
would be cool.
It would be, and again, you'd just, to coin the term Agent Smith, like normally if you're by yourself, you had 4 wingmen. Well, you have 3 wingmen and a 4th wingman who happens to be a PC, and I know that I'm theory crafting or whatever, but there was hint of it from Ben Lesnick a very long time ago, and because it's so long, I'm not going to obviously hold him to it. But man, if we could achieve that, that would be bloody cool, right?
Yeah. I remember that agent smithing conversation. That was a pretty big deal.
Yeah. I don't know. How about you, Shiv? Do you think we're going to see more like direct connection between Idrises or javelins and like mission givers?
There's a possibility. There's always a possibility, but last I remember hearing, CIG were not going to implement like a military faction that you could take missions from, unless they've changed their mind on that, or that policy changes in general. I can't see it happening unless, an org gets it as a bonus or something. You can have your own mission giver on your Idris or something. Mm-hmm. Or it's a military faction that's been implemented, but that's the only way I could see it.
I think the military might hire you to do some missions, but I doubt that you could work directly, like, in the military.
And that would probably also riff directly off of your reputation. The things that you're good at, the history that you carry as a player character, So I don't think that would be open to absolutely everybody.
All right, cool. Next question comes from a guy who did a thing, who asks, Chris is going to drop a couple of big things. He can't help himself. What are your personal sitcom top 3 wish list and WoW terms? Examples, the Titan suit battles or system jump points, etc. Yes.
Jump points.
Jump points, Titan suits, Microtech, Crusader,
Melissa Estrada gets her own show.
I think one of the biggest things, and this is what I'm hoping beyond hope, and I'm just really hoping it's not just another bullshit. But that whole last closing statement where it's like the road to release, I'm hoping for an actual, honest to God, sit down. This is what we expect to get in this year. This is what we expect to get this year. This is when beta's coming out. I know people say no dates, but at this point, having a date that we can sit there and say CIG is expecting it by this time would be a lot more. You'd have a lot more enthusiasm, because then people could be like, okay, that's
no
the
one
date
would
we're
believe
gonna
it
look
though,
for.
Paul.
But that's the problem, is no one would believe it. But at the very
I know
least,
better. I've fallen for that.
But
2016.
But at the very least, it would be a roadmap to look at. So it's something that you can see, like, oh, they've charted out. They have an idea of where it's going. Because right now it feels like they don't plan 6 months ahead of time.
I think they do, though.
Like they do, but it doesn't feel like that. And I think that's probably what he's trying to do, is be like, see, we are planning. This is all our plans. This is subject to
2016,
change,
this is going to sound super condescending, super negative, but it's not intended to be that. 2016, Chris Roberts stood up on stage with a slideshow and showed us what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And
it still hasn't been happened. Yeah.
It didn't happen like that. And that's where I mean, like, I'm being negative, right? But I understand why, and everyone understands why. But they were burnt in the past by doing that, and that's why we have a 1-year roadmap and not a 5-year roadmap. Mm-hmm. It makes no sense to me, because you're just going to make promises that you can't keep. So you might as well do what we're doing, which is tangible, possible.
So then what do you think they're going to actually say with the road to release? You think it's just going to be a lot of smoke up our ass again?
No, I think so. What I would love to see is, as was said earlier, a jump point, because we always see 1 year in advance. Mm-hmm. Last year we saw this year, like that's the trend. So if I'm thinking about next year, it's not that I don't care about Squadron 42. I don't want to hear about Squadron 42 until it's 6 months to actual release. That was the biggest thing, that they dropped the vertical slice with no end date, no start date, no nothing. And it got everyone all fired up, and we're still waiting for it, which is fine. That's what it was for, is to get people fired up. But if you're going to do that, put an end, like, you won't see this for 2 years. Mm-hmm. This is what we're doing, though. Get excited, but don't get that excited. Don't get 6 month excited, because I'm still waiting, and I'm a realist. We're off playing Battlefield, Squadron 76, Fallout 76, etc., because we know, right? But I'm still along for the ride. I'm still excited to see whatever they give us, but I'm expecting to see at most a jump point, or maybe another I would love to see Area 18, but where you can walk around.
Like an
Like
exploration of it, not
just
the
flying
physical
over it.
scene.
Like here's proof of concept of procedural city GTA style.
But you do know that like the end keynote at the end says the road to release. So
Sure.
what are you just expecting a lot of Chris Roberts saying, "Hey, this is what we're planning."
Okay, it's not bullshit. Okay, like I'm not saying that it's bullshit, but I'm saying I'm going to take it with a massive, like salt cube that you'd feed to a horse.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
I was apparently some people thought I was being super negative when I made a joke about the initial roadmap that they did in February. I went through and be like, this is basically 3.0 part 2. 3.1 is 3.0 part 2. 3.2 is never going to happen. 3.3 is, oh, cool, because some cool things. And 3.4 is, good way of ending out the year. But that was back when 3.2 had like salvage and mining and
Right.
like,
everything got changed, right?
Yeah.
And that's not bad. That's iteration. That's development. That's good. But people hold people to what was said. And my concern is if he starts saying a bunch of stuff that not necessarily the wrong people, but people are going to start holding to it. And it's going to look negative when in reality the development is happening and it's happening in a productive, effective manner. But because he didn't hit the target or because something got moved from 6.1 into 6.7, that people are going to be super poopy about it instead of being excited that they have 6.1.
I'm going to be honest. I'm a little bit different. I feel like they've done a lot more hit recently than misses, and I think they've learned a lot. If they went on a very detailed, this is what we're planning on getting this year. This is what we're planning on this year. This is our tentative beta for like sometime this year, and these are our big points that we want to hit in these years. I feel like they could probably do that and give us a better idea. And I feel like that would also help a lot of players who feel like the good thing about the 1 year roadmap is that, or like a year out roadmap, is that it's vague enough that you can't really pin them down, but it's focused enough that you can actually see where it's going. The problem about it is that it's only a year. So it feels like they're not planning more than 6 months ahead of time, or 6 to 12 months ahead of time, especially since like 3.5, we all know that 3.5 and 3.6 is going to be very different from what we see now. It'll have some added, it'll have stuff taken away, and vice versa as the closer we get to it. So I feel like
they got the opening presentation at 2 or 3 hours, and then the
think it was
road to
2
release
hours.
is half an hour.
Yeah. So
It's not going to be a huge deal, is it?
I don't, but I feel like the other thing that I could see them doing is saying Squadron 42 is this year. Like we're going to release it this, not 2018. I mean, like Squadron 42 is 2020 or 2019. Like just a date. Of course, answer the call 2015, answer the call 2016, answer the call whenever. That all bullshit.
Get that one right. Get the next one right because
Yeah.
you've already
you already fucked that up. But I mean, that's another thing that people are asking about. Like, in lieu of having an actual roadmap, and a lot of people have asked, is maybe that's the Squadron 42 roadmap? I could see that as a road to releases in terms of roadmap for Squadron 42, because that's the one thing that they promised that they haven't delivered 10 months later.
Spoiler though, don't you think that the roadmap would be a spoiler in itself?
Not
A little
really.
bit?
You could still say
necessarily.
we know the mechanics that are going into the game, and they can say we've got location. These are the number of locations we have in the game. Maybe there's 12 locations or 12 planets that we have, or you don't have to say planets. 12 locations.
They've already confirmed they have 4 solar systems for Squadron 42.
Yeah, so they can say this solar system's finished. This solar system is not is done yet, or we're going to get this solar system done. This solar system done. All that kind of stuff. They can still sit down and get that done, but. And it's not like they haven't already leaked the entire script online twice for Squadron 42. So it's like we kind of know what's going on. We don't know the details, and we don't know all the side missions they've added, but it's still one of those things that's important to keep in mind. All right, moving on. Darhanator asks, considering we all live on it and have access to amazing footage of it, how important is the appearance of Earth and other soul planets to you? Would you be happy with an approximation, or would you require perfection?
It's going to be an approximation. We already know that.
Yeah, we talked about this in Relay earlier. There's absolutely no way that you're going to be able to, in 2950, whatever the game is, when you're finally playing it, it's going to be like today when you go to Italy and you look at some ancient Roman settlement. Like, the settlement isn't actually there. The buildings aren't pristine. It's just crumbled ruins, and you can get a sense of what it once was, but you'll never be able to go to the same bagel shop that you're eating at today in 2950
it's
whatever.
2940 whatever right now. Don't think that shit's going to be the same. So,
right. Maybe the geography will be the same. I know, for all we know, they figured out a way to slow the passing of.
I honestly feel like Terra and Earth are going to be some of the most restrictive places for you to fly. You're just not going to be able to just fly over the entire continent, and they even addressed this in ITVs before.
Earth should be the simplest. Like at work, I make maps. Our planet is very well cataloged, and
but everyone knows what it looks like. That's the problem.
Right, but it's going to be what, quarter scale, 10th scale, or something. It's going to be teeny compared to what we actually have. But I guess what I'm saying is, as long as people aren't expecting every single street of the city that you're living in to be there, right. I can see New York City being a procedurally generated metropolis, and Paris being a procedurally generated metropolis. And there's even on the ArcStar map, they've alluded to several landing zones. Not everywhere is going to be fully detailed, but again, Earth what I would like to see is Earth there. All the continents looking exactly like they should, the biomes being representative of what they should be, the topology, which is the lay of the land, like the relief, mountains and stuff, the lakes are where they should be, but that the cities don't have to be, like you say, Paul, now, they're just some rando city that's called New York.
But I don't think you're going to be able to stop and land at random location that is currently Thailand and be able to get out and walk around. I think you're going to be restricted into.
No, I agree with you.
I agree but you're going to be landing at landing zones.
Or if you put down, it doesn't matter. There's nothing there. It's just, you're just walking around on a big snowball.
Yeah, and that's another point. Like, we don't even know what the populace, like the human population on Earth, is going to be like in 2950, whatever it is, when the game comes out, because we have so many humans living on other planets and in other star systems. Like, it could be a very small human population on Earth now, and mostly
it could be like
government
Water
employees.
World.
Right.
The polar ice caps are gone, and Kevin Costner's flying around in boats and stuff.
All right. Next question. The Buster asks, should I lower my expectations with OCS and network bind culling, or should I be excited about the quote-unquote God patch? Before anyone talks, there is no such thing as a God patch. There is no such thing as a Jesus patch. I actually wrote an article for Relay talking about this. The only thing that you should be considering a Jesus patch or a God patch or a Buddha patch or whatever the fuck you want to call it is release. That's the only time you're going to get from something that's suddenly not playable to suddenly playable. You're more likely just going to have small changes over time and then suddenly wake up and realize, oh shit, this patch, I can play the game now. That's not a Jesus patch because it's not going to add a shit ton of content. It's just going to be something that personally allows you to play. That's the problem about having this idea that there's this one patch out there that's going to make everything perfect for everybody. Not everyone's going for the same thing.
The leak. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to say go read the leaks if you want to see what it's shaping up to be.
Mm-hmm. And you got to remember, with every single new patch we get, historically, going back through the years, every new thing that we get that works breaks something that was already there. So you're always going to be dealing with bugs. There really is no such thing as a God patch. None whatsoever.
Lower your expectations, and then if it works really well for you, bonus. If it doesn't, then nothing lost.
Yeah, like 3.2, I had no expectations of it being a good patch. And then it's 30 FPS. Like, it's like suddenly, where did they find these frames? Like, these frames just came out of nowhere.
There you go. It'll be the Cthulhu patch, just to fuck with your head.
Just to fuck with your head. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It might do well. It might not be, but
it's supposed to do well. Let's
Yeah.
just say that it's supposed to do well.
I don't know. I can't tell you if it's right or not. And there are leaks. I'm not going to talk about it. But
I will.
Noobifier did
Not now.
Did suggest it.
Later.
And the only reason, and one of the reasons I don't like talking about leaks is because anything can change from patch to patch. Something that's bad one patch can be good the next patch, and then vice versa. We've seen PTU patches which were perfect that were released to live, and they're suddenly shit shows when they hit live. We've seen that happen before, so it's entirely possible for that to happen. Next question comes from Guns and Glue, who asks, what is the next alien ship? Give me your best CIG employee sales pitch. I got one before we get started. I got one. The Banu flying toilet. For all of those out there who want to have a toilet in their ship, we give you a toilet that is a ship. Made by the Banu.
Gray-headed gamer's going to get like 6 of them.
It's the Banu starter ship. You just sit on the pot, and it runs on your feces. 100% guaranteed. Since the goddamn community is obsessed with fucking toilets, there you go.
Shion's
be awesome
spice
if-
freighter.
Wouldn't it be awesome if that was the last question and that was the last answer?
It's the second to last question.
Jesus. The shitty ship, see? That's exactly someone said it. So
I'd
much
say
fun.
Shion spice freighter.
Shion Spice Bader. The spice
Yeah.
must flow.
Well, for the
Tavarin-
Shion, definitely spice must flow.
Tavarin bird of prey with wings that move, this really long neck, and it can, if it goes just over the speed of light and slingshots around the sun, it can go back to the 80s, and it's got enough room in a cargo hold to pick up 2 whales.
And 1 scientist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that Kirk may seduce her.
Right.
Yes.
What
Because
a
it's not.
weird show. So much for the timeline, Kirk. What were you thinking?
Oh,
Yeah. I got one ship for you. I'm with you, Paul. The Cutlass Brown.
the Cutlass Brown.
It's got a toilet. It's the only
Toilet.
Cutlass in the fleet with a toilet.
Yep.
And
Oh,
it's a doozy.
This question was certainly circling the drain. Next question comes from Fastguard. It's the last question. Who asks, "Remind me why Shiver's name is listed as Shiver? Because I can't spell."
You're a teacher, right?
Yes, so I can't spell. I'm not
He's
an
a
English
teacher
teacher.
of history, not a
Yeah.
teacher of vocabulary.
I
Language.
hold
Well-
him to a higher standard. He should be able to spell history.
Yeah, but
Sorry, I'll change my name by Dpol. It's fine.
I wish I could actually change it, but for some reason, XSplit is being so lazy and slow. I can't actually mess around with it. So we'll leave it at that. Thank you guys so much for coming out with us tonight here at the
Always a
Astropod.
pleasure.
If you guys
Thank
enjoyed
you for having
yourselves,
us.
consider hitting that follow button. Follow all these wonderful folks. If you're watching this at home on YouTube, thank you for watching. We usually do this live every 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. GMT. I'm sure Noobifier will put it up on his channel as well. So
If you'd like, I would love to be able
always
to
do
promote.
that.
Yeah.
Always do that. And just so you know ahead of time, you Noobifier folks are watching this on YouTube, this is completely off the cuff and not planned. So this is not the same as typical videos. If you don't like our opinions, that's fine. You don't have to like the opinions. Just keep it civil. That's all I ask. Keep it civil in the comments.
Yes, this isn't scripted. Astro didn't give us things to say after the show.
Nice cover.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. And like I say every night, hope to see you guys again soon. But if I don't, hope to see you someday in the black.